There were a lot of events happening around the blonde at one moment. The medical staff were rushing around the building, and trying somehow not to get under the arm of the fifth Hokage. She was giving orders, and the staff was running back and forth again. In their haste, they couldn't really understand what had happened. Naruto was lying under a drip and recuperating. Next to him in one ward lay a girl behind a curtain. Her pulse was weak, so she still wanted to live. Before he got into the bloody prison, many shinobi were amazed that Naruto Uzumaki attacked the Kage of other countries using his ninjutsu with S-rank techniques. Many have confirmed that he used multiple shadow clones and Raisin Suriken. Hokage knew it wasn't him, but she sent him to prison anyway. And she informed the others that Naruto is now a hostage of this prison and should not interfere. A special seal was put on Naruto, which prevented him from using his techniques, and trying to escape from there. He failed, and almost died if he hadn't been caught by the strong hand of the girl. She didn't reveal it right away. After she got all wet, she had to dry her clothes. The young girl was in the past Anbu hidden in the grass. And she gave her name to Ryuzetsu. Her eyes were somewhat similar to Rinnegan Nagato, but they were grayish in color. Her hair was as white as snow, and her skin, by the way, was several shades lighter than blonde. Naruto found out that he was not just expected in this prison. His nine-tailed chakra is needed to release one shinobi, but a demon was released instead. As soon as he appeared, the jailer, who put the seals on the prisoners, died from the paws of the monster. And then the blonde was able to free himself from the shackles and entered into a fight with the demon. Satori was the name of the creature from Pandora's box, was invulnerable, and all Uzumaki's attempts were unsuccessful. Shinobi from Konoha arrived to help him. Sakura and Tsunade explained to him that everything had been planned in advance so that he would play his role perfectly and not know that he was carrying out a mission, but he sent any of their excuses away and called his comrades scoundrels with whom it was not worth having anything to do. As soon as the demon intended to finish off Naruto in the Toad Hermit mode, Ryuzetsu closed him with herself, but this did not save him. It was like the death of the fourth Hokage and his wife. These were the last memories that happened to the blonde, and for a long time he wandered through his own consciousness, where the fox talked to him. A pitiful mortal. You're pathetic, you let yourself be killed. But this girl was not indifferent to your pathetic life, and she gave her own. The fox drilled the blonde with his eyes, trying to reach out. Tell me, Kurama, what does it make sense to live now if everyone around me, without exception, is lying to me? The blonde man answered, looking into the fox's eyes. If you intend to erase Konoha from the map, then I'm all for it, and I'll be the first one to do it, but don't hurry yet, Uzumaki. The time will come, and you'll call here again, said the fox, and the contact ended. Naruto woke up from a sharp pain all over his body, and looked fearfully at his stomach. He didn't find any holes or anything like that, but only a lighter skin tone. Looking at the chair next to the bed, his protector was lying there. He smelled the delicate flowers and the very cause of the smell. Sakura Haruno was lying on the edge of his bed and sleeping peacefully. Trying to move, he disturbed the sleep of the student Tsunade, and she in turn rubbed her eyes and straightened her hair. She quickly jumped up from him and tried to squeeze out the words. She knew perfectly well what she had done to him, had suffered in that prison, and did not even try to protect him. The Hokage made an even bigger shock for him. She took off the village protector from him and threw it on her desk. Naruto, I wish I could turn back the clock and explain everything to you, but Tsunade-sama forbade to strictly say anything to you. I blame myself for this and I want you to forgive me. We are team number 7. This thought was spinning in my head and I wanted her to voice it, but I couldn't help myself. Naruto, Sakura only said, as Uzumaki interrupted her. Sakura. Yes? Naruto, will you forgive me? Sakura said pleadingly, her heart starting to stop at his answer. Only you, Sakura, but not the others. From this answer, her heart almost went into her heels. How could a person with the purest soul and heart say such a thing? Naruto, Sakura could only say, a lump stuck in her throat and did not let her scream at him, not after he was treated. You know perfectly well why, after being discharged from the hospital, I'm leaving Konoha forever, which does not want to accept me the way I am, the blonde replied, turning to the other side. But you will become a Nunakin, just like Sasuke. Her heart began to contract at the very thought. She could not persuade him to stay, and confessed to him her sincere feelings, which he rejected. She liked Sasuke since the academy and couldn't stop thinking about him, even now. But what the annoying blonde who was bothering her all the time said to her, now she will not be told that all the teams are assembled. She wanted to cry right there, but she couldn't do it in front of him and ran out of the ward. She ran past the Hokage herself, and from this the woman's face changed dramatically. She entered the ward and saw that Uzumaki had already regained consciousness and could move. And she didn't approve of his action. Uzumaki Naruto, what did you say to your teammate that she had to run out of your room? She asked a question from which it was now being decided what she would do with him in the near future. Silence followed from her, and her patience began to melt a little. Can you even hear me? Who am I talking to? He still didn't answer, and her patience snapped. Approaching him, she took him by the collar of his hospital shirt and lifted him up. Are you deaf? I came to talk to you, and you. But then she was horrified. The nine-tailed chakra enveloped him, and the pupils changed, releasing him into place. She retreated from Uzumaki and was about to call Captain Yamato, but Naruto spoke in the voice of a fox. The pathetic last representative of the Senju clan, you are so weak that you were afraid to tell the boy that he was being used as an expendable thing, kept silent about his parents. What are you better than those Uchi? Yes, nothing at all, brains like a chicken. These words made her tremble with fear. Naruto, all that Senju could say from herself, looking at how the whole space only becomes more terrible because of the fox's chakra. You lied to me and don't recognize me as a Konoha shinobi. Before that I thought you were a good Hokage, but after you did this to me, I decided that things in the village would go uphill without me. You are hiding behind words, just like those elders. I'd rather be a renegade shinobi like Sasuke Uchiha than a shinobi of my village, Naruto replied after the fox's chakra returned to print. What are you saying to me, Hokage? I would kill you on the spot for such expressions, and now you will immediately return your words back and apologize to Sakura. She spoke with caution, knowing what kind of character all Uzumaki had, and tried to talk to him. You have heard my answer and it is final. If you do not give me a week to recover, then I tear off the seal and release the nine-tailed fox, and after him the Shinigami herself, and you should not hinder me, Naruto replied and, getting comfortable, lay down on the pillow. Tsunade left without commenting on his words. For the first time, she was afraid of Naruto's words, as he said that all the villagers would pay, and it was all the fault of the Hokage. She hoped that Uzumaki was always smiling and not serious about missions. But it seems that his patience has come to an end, and he decided to follow this Uchiha. She could not allow another shinobi and Jinchuriki to leave the village in one person. If Naruto leaves, then Raikage will go after him to increase the power of his village. And he will be glad of a new gift. The village will weaken, losing trust among other villages. She did not foresee this, that everything could turn out this way, because this Uzumaki was always trying to get closer to Sakura, but she constantly turned him off. And now one person saved him by sacrificing herself, but by some miracle, no other way, she was able to survive. And she was next to him in the same room. An attempt at blackmail will cost a lot of lives, because Shinigami cannot be deceived how many lives to take. With these thoughts, she went to her residence, to revel in grief in sake. Sakura fled from the hospital wherever she looked. The main thing is to stay away, and cry there. Who noticed it, couldn't imagine what happened, and her escape was noticed by the Inoshikachu team, who were discussing some problems. Ino, I won't be able to go anywhere today. I didn't leave the Hokage residence with my father all night. We were working on the strategy of shinobi of various ranks and villages, the lazy man replied to his blonde teammate, who just wanted to collect gossip. Well, you're a problem, Shika. Temari told me the truth when we crossed paths with her and talked about you. By the way, how is Naruto? I do not know what condition he is in, but I am sure that many will envy his vitality, said the blonde, adjusting her bangs, which is about to close her right eye. He's too lucky and tenacious to just give up, I think so. It would be necessary to visit him at least, otherwise it turns out somehow ugly. Akimichi expressed the idea, and he was supported. Well, then Sakura ran in front of them in tears, and without saying anything, disappeared around the corner of one of the blocks. Is it Sakura? And what happened to her, really? I thought about the bad Shikamaru and ran towards the hospital. Wait for us, lazy. The blonde shouted and ran with Chuji after him. They ran after Shikamaru to the hospital until they found themselves in front of the ward where Uzumaki was located. The guys were going to figure it out. Kakashi Hatake was just crossing the road and saw Sakura running, and wanted to talk to her, as if she didn't see him, ran and didn't notice, and having determined where she was running from, he headed towards the hospital, where Naruto was lying in the ward. Going to visit him, he noticed the team of the deceased comrade Asuma Sarutobi, who were heading there for distilling. What happened there? It would be necessary to check. Is it really Uzumaki's fault? Well, it's time to find out how things really are, Kakashi said and headed there, but before them, the fifth Hokage left in the same mood. And without saying a word, she left for the residence. They were even more shocked, and now the blonde was interested, who would not miss the chance to find out every little thing. What happened there in the ward at all, since the Hokage left there? No, I won't leave this case so easily. Kakashi followed the trio and stood in front of the ward, where they put the blonde with his savior, but it was not possible to enter the ward, because of the barrier that appeared out of nowhere. And Kakashi immediately remembered seeing him once. He couldn't believe it. It was the barrier that Kushina-sama had shown him, and the Trinity itself could not understand what kind of crap it is that does not allow them to pass. And noticing him, they immediately asked, Kakashi-sensei, this is a barrier, but no one from the village knows how to create them. The blonde turned to him. There were few ninjutsu masters before you, and Naruto somehow knows this art, Kakashi replied. The trio's faces changed dramatically from this news. Surprised to a greater extent, except for the blonde, who had an even greater interest in this topic. And I was already anticipating, as soon as this blonde with the wind in his head deigns to come out, he will get the most I don't want. Sakura ran like that until she entered her room and locked herself under the amazing gaze of her parents. Without even taking off my shoes, I ran in there. If her father had not shown any curiosity about her daughter's success before, now he began to worry, as did the mother herself. Sakura, what happened to you? Her mother said, and a tear ran down her cheek. Before that, she didn't worry about the fact that teenage hormones were rebelling at her age. But that time passed and she could not understand what was the reason for her daughter's hysteria, although rather the daughter locked herself in the room without explanation and cried into the pillow. How then Sasuke disappeared from her life, and what could happen now? Sakura, daughter, what has come over you to cry today? Her father asked and could not find an answer. She buried her face in the pillow, wrapped her arms around her and hugged her tightly, as if she was crying hard. Mascara flowed down her cheeks, which she had not had time to wash off, and now resembled nothing but smudges. Her parents heard her crying and couldn't do anything about it, especially if the daughter locked herself inside and didn't want to see anyone. Her father and mother were worried about her condition and wanted to go to her, but did not dare to interfere yet. Daughter, understand us, we want to help you, but don't you want to tell us what happened? My mother and I are worried about you. When you calm down, we will talk. He hugged his wife and decided to leave the house so as not to hear this crying. Sakura, my heart might break apart if you don't tell me what's going on. I have to understand what upset you so much, the woman said, as if addressing her. Oh, my dear, I'm also worried about my daughter as much as you are. I hope everything will be fine with her. Seeing the sad look of his wife, the man replied and sat down on a bench. Sakura didn't know how much more she would cry, but this feeling, like that time, left a scar on her soul. She never opened her heart to anyone else. The pillow had already turned the color of her makeup and was soaked with tears. Sakura threw the pillow against the wall and, looking at her own reflection in the mirror, was horrified. It wasn't the same girl who was in the academic performance championship. She was being looked at by a weak creature who is not capable of anything with dark smudges around her eyes. It was disgusting to look at your own reflection in the mirror and think that you are useless, pathetic and a weak link in the team that is looking for support from others. From her own conclusions, tears rolled over again and Sakura cried again and screamed into the void, almost breaking the mirror with a random object. She started screaming and hating herself. The parents heard this noise and were going to break into her room if anything happened. However, by their intervention, they could not find out the reasons for her hysteria. Let her cry and become a little easier. Her parents waited like that until the evening on the street, while her daughter would be there by herself. When they entered the house, they did not hear sobs or anything else. Sakura finally fell asleep. We decided to check her condition in the morning. Sakura opened the door of her room in the morning to go and take a shower, but she wanted to run away from her own reflection. I wanted to forget it like a bad dream. Closing her eyes, she leaned against the bathroom wall and again she started crying, and now her parents heard her, who decided to check on her. Sakura ran to her parents with tears, looking for support in their face. The father did not know what he would ask about, as well as his wife. Her mother approached and gently hugged her daughter. Sakura did not pull away and gradually calmed down. Sakura, my pretty one, tell me what upset you so much that you decided to lock yourself in the room. My father and I became worried about you. It will be easier if you tell us the truth, please, her mother told her. Mom, I deceived my friend for the umpteenth time, and his words hurt me a lot, Sakura replied. Well, now, let's calm down and tell us everything in detail, the mother replied and stayed to talk with her daughter. Sakura, having overcome herself, nodded and decided that she needed to put herself in order, and then tell her parents everything. They would support her. Wiping away her tears, she calmed down and sat down on a chair in front of her parents at their common table. Mom brought a sedative and she drank everything to somehow answer them calmly and without tears. Senju wandered the streets of Konoha depressed and broken. That's right, no other way. She didn't say another word to anyone she saw. Before that, she was considered an unbroken woman with a strong character. Now she was morally omitted in this indicator. And it was about an act that she thought was the best, but she was wrong. How bad it is for her now without the support of this pervert Jiraiya. Although he was annoying, he was always supportive in everything. How I wanted to burst into tears in his arms, but he's not there. How sad, he was the last man in her life to whom she was not indifferent. Only here all his tackles were foolishness. How many times she has already beaten him, 10 or 20 times, it's impossible to count. How stubborn he was and did not back down from his words. The voice of her teacher's grandson Sarutobi, Konohamaru, brought her out of her memories of him. Tsunade-sama, how is brother Naruto? Was he released from prison? He looked into her eyes and saw only tears. And I wondered what had happened to her. He's in the hospital, and sped away from him with a quick step. Sarutobi didn't even have time to say how Senju was no longer around. He would have stood there in a stupor for a long time if Sensei hadn't called him. Mister, it's time for us to train. Have you forgotten by any chance? I reminded you about today's training. Oh, right. Thanks for reminding me. The last one is a rotten chicken, Sarutobi replied and trotted off ahead. We didn't agree on that, Sensei replied in confusion and rushed to catch up with him. Meanwhile, once in her residence, Tsunade asked Shizune to leave her alone in the office and not let anyone in. Shizune, having no reason to do so, obeyed and left her office, leaving her alone. As soon as the door slammed shut, Tsunade closed the door from the inside and headed to her desk, where her favorite sake was stored. It wasn't until she took out the first of the bottles that she remembered Jiraiya's words before he went to the rain country, where I was supposed to stop pain. Memories of that day. Tsunade, the boy is not stupid and will soon start asking about his real parents, who they were. I promise to tell him soon. Maybe you shouldn't do it, he's just a boy who was chosen as a vessel, you shouldn't tell a secret about his parents, the blonde replied, from which the pervert choked. Tsunade, are you in league with them? You haven't been like that for as long as I've known you. We need to maintain the status of a strong village, and the defense capability in the form of a tailed one is above all. We don't care about the fate of the boy, his needs, and other nonsense. Are you completely out of your mind? Why did I contact you and invite you to drink out of old friendship? There is no Senju pride left in you, not like your grandfather Hashirama, the founder of the village. As soon as I stop pain, I'll tell Naruto about his parents and take him away from here. Don't make yourself a protector, the elders won't let you do it, especially me. These words that she uttered hit Jiraiya hard. It will be on your conscience, remember, if I die, then you will have to tell him everything, otherwise he will hate the whole village and leave no one alive. Senju was pierced by these words and she was going to stop him. You don't understand that the truth, which was not allowed to be divulged by the top of the village, hurts him very much. If I lose you, what will I do then? Said Tsunade, and he stopped. You said our village's top, let's see how they'll sing when I get back, Jiraiya replied, which made Senju feel uneasy. If I lose you, then, you will cry for me, as well as for the rest of your men. I know I'm going to survive, so goodbye. Fool, she answered him when he disappeared around the bend and began to cry. The end of memories. Tsunade thought for a long time whether one bottle would be enough for her, and took out a whole box. After uncorking the first bottle, my throat burned, as if you were pouring something burning inside. Her eyes watered and, looking up from the bottle, she put the bottle on the table and, wiping the alcohol with the sleeve of her clothes, stared out the window. The passing clouds reminded her of a time when she didn't have to lie. Until the old-timers showed up with their foundations, who did not want to listen to anything, and that their word cannot be broken, as well as deprived of positions. How she blamed herself for following her grandfather and her teacher to become the Kage of her native village. She was promised to write off the debt if she did not tell the son of the fourth Hokage about his parents. Rage literally strove to break out and get even with them, that they allow themselves to blackmail their Hokage, but they brought an argument against which it is not worth going. Naruto will take Danzo to himself and make him an obedient weapon among the rest of the villages and inspire terror. The top calculated everything, and could not let their main trump card go free and put them in front of a difficult choice. She should be at one with them, and they hinted that if she suddenly decided to cheat, then her comrade Jiraiya would be told whose son Minato was. The mere mention of him made her heart break. She left him in the care of the third Hokage and asked him not to tell anyone about it, but the elders found out about this secret and used it. How the bait worked and Naruto was in their hands is a weighty argument in front of her. Her grandson is the last representative of two extinct clans. Tears rolled and dripped onto the table, running down her cheeks. If she had known how that unfortunate night when Naruto was born would turn out, she would have immediately taken him away and raised him as her own son. She had been carrying this burden for so many years, and only now realized what a mistake she had made in life. She turned away from her own relative. And I was afraid to say everything as it really is. If he found out, the village would have known the attack of the nine-tailed for the second time. This she did not want to allow, and agreed to it, and now she was a weak and helpless woman who had already given up and could not find the strength to go forward. Naruto told the truth, I'm no better than the damned Uchi and the top of the village. She became the same as Danzo Shimura. Out of impotence, she grabbed the bottle and threw it towards the window, and the noise of broken glass was heard from there. From this, she made more noise, breaking the table, smashed a box of sake. As soon as she did, she leaned back in her chair and continued to cry. Shizun was going to find out what happened there, because she was worried about her condition and, hearing her crying, left this idea. Jiraiya. You were right, I should have told him everything and opened up to you then. I am an unhappy woman who only wanted to show that I am strong enough that no one will support me in difficult moments of my life, Senju said, as if addressing him. Oh, my God, how stupid I was after all, and fell for the words of these old men. Naruto, I didn't want to do this, honestly, but they didn't leave me any other choice. I could have lost you forever. Tears rolled over again and she was already sobbing. I want you to forgive your own grandmother, I beg you. As soon as she had no strength left to cry, she fell asleep on the sofa that was in her office. Shizun checked it and was amazed at what happened here. A broken window along with sake, and a broken table, for the umpteenth time, I can't even remember. Tsunade-sama, you don't take care of yourself or the objects around you. Oh ho ho, and how should I deal with this mess? It's useless to wake up the masters, I'll have to call them in the morning, and repair everything again, I concluded and left the room. Lying in a hospital bed, the blonde did not think about anything at all. He was sick of this life full of lies, betrayals, where it was difficult to determine who was with you and who was against. After everything that had happened to him lately, meeting his father turned his whole life upside down. He didn't have time to say everything, only passed on memories from his life. And then he disappeared. It happened when pain attacked the village and he lost control of himself, and allowed hatred to take control of himself. After that, he managed to defeat pain and eventually met the perverted hermit's first disciples. Konan and Nagato had a conversation with him, after which Nagato brought back to life the shinobi who died at his hands and Konan took his body to an unknown destination. This was followed by battles with the remaining mercenaries from the Akatsuki organization, and a false accusation of attacking the Kage of other villages. When he tried to prove his innocence, they didn't even listen to him. It shocked him and he intended to find out who framed him. And he tried to escape from the bloody prison, though he almost died after falling off a cliff. He was saved by Ryuzetsu. As it turned out, she was also a hostage of the prison and did not disclose her identity. This was understandable after both were drying their clothes wet over the fire. Then they turned away from each other. This girl interested him in one feature, eyes, similarity with Rinnegan Nagato. After they found out that the seal master who keeps them here was going to resurrect his son with the help of Naruto's chakra, but instead released a demon, Naruto could not restrain him and was preparing for an early death, but Ryuzetsu appeared at the last moment and wanted to protect him. Only it didn't save him. They were both with big holes in their bellies and were dying. Tsunade and Sakura tried to keep Uzumaki alive, but it was all in vain. Sakura has already started to get hysterical, as has Tsunade. Ryuzetsu came up to them and, pinching her wound, applied the healing technique through a kiss. The time until Naruto regained consciousness was on the verge of death. And his seal began to let him through to his parents. He saw his father, a nine-tailed fox demon, and an unknown woman with blood-red hair, and another demon who was behind that red-haired one. Naruto, is that you? Did Shinigami-sama take your soul? I'll kill you. Why did you do it ahead of schedule? Said the red-haired woman and began to approach him. Mom. All my life I have dreamed of seeing you, Dadabi. He was walking towards her and she hugged him. The hugs were pleasant, tears of happiness poured out of their eyes, and then their father came up and hugged them. Well, it's okay, Mom's here. You really are my son, since you say strange words. What happened, my darling? I looked at my son and he answered. Mom, I couldn't stop one of the demons and I died from his blow along with one girl. I don't know if she's alive. Oh, that's how. Well, it's clear. I have nothing to blame you for, but it seems that's not all, right, my dear?" Stroking her son's hair, she felt that he was not finishing. "The perverted hermit was supposed to tell about you, but he died defending the village from pain. I found out the truth when a nine-tailed demon fox almost took control of me." The father appeared and passed on some of his memories. "Oh, Minato, it looks like the third Hokage took care of this very well. And the point was to keep the secret of our son's birth." And they remained silent, not telling him the truth. "If I were alive, I would kill every single one for my son." "Mom, that's not all," he continued with a surprised look. "Before the demon killed me, I was suspected of an attempt on the Kage of other villages. Neither my comrades nor the Hokage defended me. They took off my protector, which I treasured very much. I couldn't believe it, and then they tried to apologize to me, but it was too late to apologize. They spat in my back and trampled on my pride. I didn't put up with it and told them everything I thought about them. My sunshine, you've been through so much, I don't even know how to help you. And, by the way, Shinigami is the patron of our clan herself, as is Kurama." "Kurama?" The blonde man was surprised. "Yes, it's that fox, call him that. And, by the way, this is a gift from me, use them wisely." She touched his forehead and passed on the knowledge of Fuinjutsu. "You have remained a human being, unlike the rest of the residents. I am glad that I have such a wonderful son. You're smart enough for your age, and you have a good strategy. It's a pity that Kushina and I had to condemn you to such a life, and forgive us," Minato told him. "Oh, what's going on?" Suddenly he began to notice that he began to disappear. "Naruto, darling, if you are pulled from the other world, then you will live. And remember the vows that I said. If suddenly you decide to avenge us to the village, then tear the seal and tear it in two so that Shinigami-sama and Kurama will end the village." "Okay, Mom, I will always remember you. You are the best parents you can dream of. Goodbye. Goodbye, my Naruto. I want you to start a new life away from this rotting village." Naruto was brought out of lying on the bed by the noise from another bed in his own ward. Leaning on the bed, he got up and walked barefoot towards the noise and could not believe his eyes. Ryuzetsu is alive and well. It couldn't have been a dream. If he talked to Tsunade and Sakura recently. He put up a barrier after they left so that no one would disturb them with questions. And now he cautiously approached her and made sure that it really was her. Her birch scarf, which she wore in the manner of a bandana, was lying on a chair. Admiring her beautiful face, he carefully stepped back to his bed and dreamily imagined how he would live with her, although wait, why would she decide to do that? They had known each other for only a few days, but during that time they managed to confide in each other. And she gave him her kiss. His train of thought was interrupted by approaching the barrier. And it was Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji with Kakashi. But what they were doing here was unclear. Maybe they saw Sakura, who ran away from here. Right now he doesn't want to talk to them, today for sure. They did not know that he had heard their conversations, thanks to the barrier he had learned in his subconscious. Kurama, as a strict teacher, followed the process and then continued to monitor its progress. Ino couldn't wait to stuff the guy with the wind in his head, and Kakashi and Shikamaru wanted to find out the reason why Sakura was running away, as well as Tsunade-sama. Choji, as one of his friends, wanted to know how his health was. "Too much has fallen on me, the death of the last person who was connected with my parents. Betrayal and lies that they carefully disguised. My opinion is nothing to them. When Ryuzetsu wakes up, I will take her with me and leave the village, which is so saturated with hatred. Nothing keeps me here anymore, right, Kurama?" I turned to my friend. "Yes. How rotten these people need to be to treat a child who just wanted to know the truth about his parents like that. It's a pity I didn't tell you the whole truth, kid, don't be offended," the fox replied. Nothing, Kurama. I used to think that my parents abandoned me to the mercy of fate. But now I began to understand that they gave their lives for the village. And they did not expect that everything would turn out badly for their son. I literally survived, and would have died in the alley if it weren't for you, Kurama. You healed my wounds, and I remember our first meeting. I won't forget it either, kid. Whatever these old guys do, they won't get away with it. I'd love to torture them. Oh, by the way, we should bring one person with us, the red-haired one that they keep in the interrogation department. Karen? HM. Although she is not a close relative of mine, but we are from the same clan, they will give her to me without any questions. So, it's decided, the three of us leave the village. If they decide to joke with me, then I'll dance on their bones. Now clear the living area, I'm going to sleep. Kurama kicked him out of his subconscious and, curled up in a ball, fell asleep as if nothing had happened. Under the surprised gaze of the blonde. Hey, wait. Well, here it is again, leaving me alone with my problems. Should I take a nap too? With a sinking heart, the blonde waited for this damn Uzumaki to deign to remove the barrier, but this did not happen. How I wanted to beat the crap out of him to answer a few questions. She, like the others, was in her thoughts. Ino was thinking hopefully to go to Sakura and find out from her what had happened. As she was about to leave, her friends called out to her. She turned to them. Ino, where are you going to go? I understand everything that you want to know what happened and you will go to Sakura for answers, Shikamaru said, and she nodded openly. Yes, I want to know what happened. This Uzumaki won't want to tell us anything, so I think it's best to talk to Sakura tomorrow. She should come to her senses after the experience. Tomorrow we will meet here and talk to him. Her gaze was fixed on the barrier behind which the blonde man was hiding. The blonde was not stopped and slowly began to clear the corridor of the hospital. They were returning to their daily duties. Ino walked slowly to their family's flower shop. Her mother, as usual, seeing that her daughter was shirking from work, put backbreaking work on her fragile shoulders, watering flowers, pruning, picking a bouquet, and many other things you can think of with them. Opening the door, a bell rang above the door and notified that a visitor had arrived. Mom, I'm sorry I was late. Today I wanted to find out how Uzumaki is, but it's difficult to get there, Ino said, going to the hook where her apron was lying. Repeat, daughter, I didn't hear what you were saying about this Uzumaki. Her mother appeared, not at all like her daughter. She was a brunette with brown hair. Mom. She pouted resentfully, because she knew that Mom wanted to set her up with someone. I was joking, so how is Naruto-kun doing? Even more shy. Mom, stop it, and I don't like him at all. So, wait, have you decided that I'm going to marry him? As soon as I start talking about him, you blush. Isn't that right, daughter? It's not about that. So, when Shikamaru and Chuji and I were walking towards the hospital, we saw Sakura running away from there in tears. And then Tsunade-sama is in the same state. We immediately ran there and saw the barrier set up. As Kakashi-sensei told us, Ino answered, sitting down on a chair. Barrier. Wait, but the last 20 years ago they were. And... She immediately broke off in mid-sentence. Mom, do you know something about this? Here Ino was even more surprised, because if Mom knows, but is silent about it. And then she continued. No, I don't remember anything like that. Go to Sakura, in any case, everything is fine, and now it's time to get to work. She interrupted at the most interesting place, and turned the conversation to another topic, clicking. Ino got to work. Nothing can be done. Mom's in charge here. A customer entered the door and Ino began to advise on any issues. Her mother went out and left her daughter to work all day, and so one of her days passed. Ino took off her apron and hung it on a hook. After checking the order of the room, she took the key and closed the store. The girl was walking home, where her mother might have cooked something delicious for dinner. And maybe my father will come home from work ahead of time. But as long as Ino could remember, he wasn't always at home, but maybe he deigns to return home and wants to know how his daughter grew up and what she was able to achieve. There were a lot of questions in her head, to which she had no guesses. And when I came to the door, I heard my parents talking at home. Uzumaki? Not happening. His bookmarks could not be destroyed. I personally checked them to block his meeting with the Nine-Tail. Everything is going to hell, Inoichi was saying, and Ino covered her mouth so as not to scream. Dear, he should know his parents. You understand that it is impossible to hide it for a long time, the spouse answered. Do you even understand what will happen if the truth about his parents is revealed? I, and not only I, subscribe to this. Ino continued to listen, and if everything is so bad, she will run away from them and will not want to know her parents. We were on good terms with Kushina and Minato until they died. Did you decide to erase them from your memory? And Naruto, did you think what he feels? Already almost swearing and crying, said the spouse. They would have taken Ino to the root of Anbu. I was confronted with the fact, either by my daughter or the son of my friends. Neither I nor the council of the Hunins with Sarutobi could go against the words of the village's top, Inoichi replied, and Ino shed tears. You traded friendship for loyalty to the village, how could you do that? Ino, what will she say about your action, did you think? And now she's crying. You think it's not easy for me, but not a damn thing. From the very beginning of this venture, I blame myself for it. And I wanted to take Naruto to my clan, and raise him as my own son. I'm sorry I did this to him. He sat down on a chair and said nothing more. Ino, startled by this, backed away and ran away from the house. She now resembled Sakura's behavior in the morning. Without taking apart the road, she ran, perched at a tree opposite the Yamanaka clan. There was a ninja who saw everything that was happening and transmitted information over a small-range radio. The object has learned something that is not worth it. What to do with it? Liquidate. There is. Was all the ninja said before he passed out. The blow hit the carotid artery and, dragging the body away, the unknown disappeared in another direction and followed Yamanaka. She ran without stopping, not knowing where to go. And then she remembered that she could wait at Uzumaki's dorm. She knew where he kept the key. Once Sakura showed her, suddenly, her mouth was clamped and pulled aside and whispered something in her ear. She didn't even resist when she heard more ninjas running. Don't move, for your own safety, the stranger said, and for some reason Ino believed him. He wasn't going to kill her, or do something obscene with her. Great, they're gone. As soon as the ninja disappeared, he allowed Ino to free himself from his grip. Who are you? Looking at the guest, she couldn't find anything to cling to. He looked like a ninja hiding his face under an Anbu mask shaped like a snake. Not now, you'll find out later, officially. Now quickly hide where you wanted to hide, okay? She nodded and ran towards Uzumaki's dorm. I've been in a coma for a long time. It will be necessary to check how Naruto is there. He looked at the beautiful moon and disappeared just as imperceptibly. Ino, having reached the right door, took the key out from under the door mat and, entering there, did not turn on the light so as not to attract too much attention. Closing the door from the inside, she took off her shoes and shutting the window, went to bed. The conversation of her parents firmly stuck in her head and this unknown ninja who saved her from persecution. She tossed and turned in her sleep for a long time until she imagined the image of Uzumaki. His eyes and smile shone with kindness, which was addictive. For a moment I imagined that I was walking through the streets of the village with him, hugging. And she laughed at his stories. From this she smiled and plunged into the realm of Morpheus. At this time, the pursuers lost track of her and reported the failure of the mission. "You idiots, you can't let anyone else know about this. And also, find that fugitive, we must not allow him to get close to Uzumaki. But he has already killed several good specialists in his field. Do you think we are a handful, we can beat him? I don't care, just complete the mission and don't ask unnecessary questions, do you understand?" The conversation ended and the ninja continued their search. Ino returned to her clan estate in the morning, and under the strict gaze of her mother, she told where she had been. Kakashi walked through the streets of Konoha and thought about today. His student Naruto among the other graduates of the academy shows great promise. Sakura Haruno, his teammate, is offended by him, but because of what? If earlier, she could not help the team in any way, today she has noticeably become stronger thanks to the training that Tsunade-sama recommended to her. Her blow is not so weak. Remembering her teamwork with Naruto, nerves begin to play pranks. Who would have thought that she was worthy of calling herself one of the students of the legendary Sanins? Although she does not show her weakness, but the loss of her beloved Sasuke left one scar on her heart. After so long, this wound has reopened. And Naruto? What happened to him in that bloody prison? He can't be broken by anything, as long as I know him. He began to look like someone he knew. Konohamaru ran across the road to him and the poor teacher Ebisu Tokubetsu caught up with him. Udon and Moegi watched him from the roof. Kakashi was amused by this and he went to the cemetery. He was standing in front of 2 tombstones. "Sensei, I'm sorry. I am a bad teacher for your son Naruto." He went to Kushina in character. "These are not to be broken, he has succeeded you in some techniques. After what happened to him in the bloody prison, I'm afraid of what happened to him. He hates me." Sakura, Hokage and friends, we had to play our roles for credibility. However, he did not know that this would be a mission. And he doesn't want to see anyone. Kushina-san, forgive me for not telling your son about you. Naruto was in the hands of the top of the village. It shocked me, and the third Hokage forbade anyone to take it. I'm still angry at my impotence. How I wanted you to be there when this is happening. Your son has just begun to remind me of you. Forgive me." After standing a little longer, he went to the graves of his friends. Rin, Obito. I do not know what to do. I am the culprit of your deaths, teachers. I lost one of the team members. What kind of captain am I of team number 7 if I couldn't even train them? Everything goes back to the time when I first took them under my command. Naruto worries me more. I do not even know how to tell about your deaths and about his parents. Asuma probably would have arranged a course of psychotherapy for me. Anko Mitarashi could brighten up my loneliness, but she has a mission. I have to go, goodbye. After that, he went to a tiny dorm room where he spent more time reading books. After his father's death, he read enough books, and when there was time to read, he took one with him. He did not suspect that he was being watched, as well as the rest of Naruto's friends. The unknown ninja was in several places at the same time, and from the shadows did not allow other shinobi to capture Uzumaki's friends. The same Yamanaka, under his supervision, was able to get home in the morning. And the shinobi on duty at the hospital, who tried to get in, were neutralized. Shikamaru was heading to Ichiraka Ramen to have a snack. He didn't have time to eat anything in the morning. And having ordered a portion for myself, I began to expect an order. Soon more visitors came in, also ordering a portion for themselves and, as always, Konohamaru also liked to visit here. Shikamaru, how's brother Naruto? I haven't seen him for several days, and I'm not aware of his health status. Sitting down to his right, I asked. Naruto. I can't go to him now, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, and I'm not aware of his condition either. Okay, then I'll see him next time. Another 15 minutes and I'll eat ramen. I hope Naruto will come to his senses after everything he experienced in prison, Nara mentally said and, after waiting for his portion, began to eat it. After paying for the ramen, Nara decided to stop by Kurenai-san. After Asuma-sensei's death, he promised to look after and train their child. Knocking on the door, he heard that the landlady of the apartment came to the door and let him into the house. He passed by and noticed that Mirai, as Kurenai's daughter called her, was trying to get up on her own, but nothing worked. "Ah, Mirai, you haven't grown up yet to walk like this." He helped the child up and she laughed merrily. "Shikamaru, what happened? As soon as you entered here, I felt something was wrong." The woman addressed him. "This is Naruto. I began to worry about him after the death of his sensei Jiraiya-sama. Today, when my friends and I wanted to find out about his condition, we went to his ward. And imagine, we couldn't get there. The barrier is there." From this word Kurenai remembered that no one from the land of fire could create barriers. "Barrier? How do you know it was a barrier and not an illusion?" "Kakashi-sensei told us." "I feel like I'm missing something, but what?" Nara thought and took out a cigarette. Twirling on the tips of his fingers, he was going to smoke, but gave up the idea. "Kurenai-san, I'm going, I need to see Asuma-sensei." Nara apologized and left the apartment. He didn't walk for long, and when he stopped near the right stove, he took out a cigarette and lit it with a lighter, took out another one for the teacher and put it next to him. After the death of the teacher, he started smoking Sarutobi clan tobacco. He replenished the chakra. Until the cigarette went out, he did not take out the next one from the pack. "Asuma-sensei, you have a beautiful daughter growing up. I'm looking after her as promised. Kurenai-san misses you, and from time to time lights candles at your photo in the house. Naruto, that's who I care about. He hates us for what we did to him." I heard it perfectly. And although he knew that it was mean to do this to him, Hokage insisted that we not protect him. What kind of mistake we made, I don't know what he will do in the future. "Goodbye, Sensei." He finished his cigarette and went to work at his father's headquarters, where he could tell about the latest news. And at the end of the working day, a party in Chuji decided to have a snack with fried meat, which was best cooked by himself, and went to the place that Asuma-sensei showed. Having made an order for himself, he began to wait for the thinly sliced and grilled meat to reach him. And he would have eaten in the company of friends, but everyone was busy preparing for the war. After Danzo's death, and the Akatsuki organization is involved in this. As it turned out later, Sasuke did it with a new Taka team that joined Akatsuki. Then no one could believe that he would risk it. And the very reason why Sasuke went for it. While he was waiting, a grill and a portion of meat were rolled up to him, as he liked, and he started roasting the meat not until it was completely fried, in order to preserve the whole taste. He was just overeating, and when he finished with the meat, he decided to take a walk around Konoha. He walked until the evening and returned home. He didn't want to tell his parents about Naruto. His father, for some reason, did not want him to be friends with him, and this time the father was not at home. In the company of Mom and Chuji, they had dinner and waited for the next day to talk to Naruto. Sakura, having overcome herself, began to tell her parents. They began to listen to her attentively. "Do you know Naruto Uzumaki?" "He is a friend with whom I work in the same team," I asked them. "We've never seen him, honestly." "And what is he like?" Here her mother wanted her daughter to tell. "A goofy blonde guy who promised to return Sasuke to the village. It was 3 years ago, when I left the village with Jiraiya. After 2.5 years, he returned, and we were sent to one of Orochimaru's shelters, where Sasuke studied with him. Only now we didn't know how much stronger he became, and that's when I found out why Naruto is called a demon." Here she shuddered, from one memory of that day, especially the scar on her arm. "Have you seen what he turns into?" Her mother clarified and she answered her. "He's the Jinchuriki of the 9, nine-tailed demon fox. As Captain Yamato told us, and later Kakashi-sensei. Then there was another transformation when Pain attacked. Then we met Sasuke again twice, where he was going to finish me off, if not for Naruto. I already realized that it was useless to dissuade Sasuke from revenge, and decided to tell Naruto to stop looking for him by lying. But he seemed to know that I was lying and forgave me for those words. She paused, and almost started crying again. You know that there was an attack on the Kage of other villages, and a shinobi similar to Uzumaki was blamed for everything? Tsunade-sama knew that it wasn't him. And yet she ordered us not to protect him, so that he would play his role perfectly. Only now, it turned out very badly for us. What he said shocked us. Naruto called us garbage, not shinobi, Sakura replied and did not want to continue the conversation. Haruno, what happened in the hospital, I'm asking you? Mom was boring with a look that you can't get away from. After everything I went through, I stayed on duty in his ward, and I didn't notice how I fell asleep. As soon as he woke up, I woke up and wanted to talk to him. It's true that I could have told him that some girl saved him by giving her life, only she survived. He told me that he forgives me, but not the village. I'm sorry that I'm telling you this. Unable to stand it, I ran out of the room into the street. Sakura. Her parents shouted after her, she didn't listen to them and ran away. Again, this pain that torments her for lying to Naruto. She didn't want this, no matter how many times she told herself, guilt torments her. She ran to Ino, she has to tell her everything. After all, they became best friends because of this blonde. And the best students of Tsunade-sama, Sakura dropped by their clan estate in time before Ino left. She was just about to go, but for some reason called her into the house. Sakura, hurry up to the house, we have something to talk about. Without refusing a generous offer, she went in. I'm sorry I ran away like that and didn't tell you anything, Sakura replied. Mom, tell her that you talked to your father last night, Ino said, and she began yesterday's conversation. Naruto Uzumaki is the son of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. They gave their lives to seal the nine-tailed demon fox. Minato asked that his son be considered a hero who saved the village. But the top of the village thought differently, and made his life a living hell, putting a few bookmarks for reliability. My heart was breaking from this. I was going to take him away, but he was constantly guarded by Anbu. Many residents, including you, would not be friends with him, she replied. Wait, so he's the next Hokage to the post? That's why he told me that the village would suffer. Ino's mother took her hand and waited with a sinking heart for something else. He told me that he forgives me, but not the village, Sakura replied, and her hand was released. Did he see his parents and tell them everything? Then it is clear why he said this and such an attitude. His bookmarks were destroyed when he was on the verge of death. Then he's right that it's worth destroying the village, Ino's mother replied with sadness. What? But for what? Sakura and Ino repeated in unison. The top of our village believes that the secret about Naruto's parents should not be known to everyone in a row, and therefore the village council has ordered the non-disclosure of information. They felt that the boy could be manipulated, and the current Hokage could do nothing with them. She argued with them for a long time, but for some reason she accepted it and made concessions to them. From these words Ino and Sakura could not get over the shock for a long time. Naruto, they said together and thought about everything, and then Ino told her. I was chased by unknown people in the evening yesterday, and I would have died if not for one shinobi, the blonde replied. Who is it? I do not know, and he is definitely not one of our familiar sensei or friends, would have recognized by his voice, Ino replied. It couldn't have been him. Ino's mother also broke off in mid-sentence. Mom, do you know him? I do not know him, honestly, even Inoichi does not know who he is, she replied and prepared a sedative for herself. And how did he learn to put up barriers? Ino persisted. His mother Kushina was the only one in the whole village who knew all the Fuin seals, and could easily create a barrier. And Naruto-kun learned this in his subconscious, Ino's mom replied and drank a sedative. Naruto, why didn't we know anything about you? But what would I do? He's right about the village, that it's rotten along with the inhabitants. And we are no better than these old men, in relation to him, Sakura said, and she was also hurt for Naruto. Sakura, will you tell everything exactly to the others at the hospital? We agreed to meet there. I won't be able to get out of here. If they're looking for me, they'll probably kill me, Ino asked her friend. Okay, I'll tell you, Sakura replied and left the estate. She walked cautiously to the hospital and the presence of observers was not felt. She passed the reception desk and went to Uzumaki's room, where Shikamaru and Kakashi-sensei were waiting. It was as if they were waiting for her to appear. Sakura, are you okay? Naruto has removed the barrier and seems to want to talk to all of us, Kakashi said. Yes. I'm fine, Sakura replied and didn't know how to behave after yesterday. Naruto, you can put up a barrier, they're watching us, Sakura said as soon as she got closer to him. And he, without folding the seals, recreated the barrier. Surveillance. How do you know that we are being monitored and that Naruto can create barriers? Nara asked. I met Ino and she told me everything. Naruto's parents were told by her mother, Sakura replied, sitting down on a chair. Kakashi-sensei, now you have lost the status of a teacher for me. You hid that you knew my parents and were silent. As soon as Kakashi approached Naruto, he said. Naruto. Do you have any idea what position we were all in? You were used as an argument in front of all your parents' acquaintances. To this day, I regret that I agreed to this. The top of the village didn't know what they were getting into, they expected you to be a great weapon in their hands. I do not know if you can forgive me, I am a really bad teacher and a scoundrel for not telling you about your parents right away, Kakashi replied. That's exactly what I wanted to hear from you when there was time, but it's too late. Konoha must be destroyed, from his words, without exception, everyone was frightened by the notes of threat from the kindest of all shinobi. Naruto, if we knew, you should forgive your friends. I didn't know we had such a rotten society since the founding of the village, Nara replied. Shika, the village does not deserve a second chance, and if I am forced, I will immediately wipe Konoha off the ground and my parents supported me in this, said Naruto, getting up from the bed and going to Ryuzetsu. She turned over in bed. Where are you going? Sakura immediately stopped, because his savior was lying there. And followed him with the others. Ryuzetsu, removing her bandana and sat down on a chair. And touched her face with his hands. Naruto, this is a dream. I remember perfectly how I kissed you. From his touch, she let out tears of happiness. No, you're alive, I just don't know how. Only the scar will remind you of this. Here she touched the place where the hole should be under the robe, and did not find it there. It's a miracle, Naruto, I'm so happy. The girl answered joyfully and hugged him a little. He would have rejoiced further, but here. Naruto, get in touch, you idiot. The fox called. Sorry, but I have a meeting with Kurama, there is no time to explain, and immediately, sitting in the lotus position, I found myself in the subconscious. The company didn't even have time to say something. It's been a long time, okay, fuck it. As for this savior, I supported her life. When she gave her life, she fell on you and I was able to start your recovery and her body began to absorb my chakra to restore the lost organs, Kurama replied, and Uzumaki matured the question, how, on his face. Her eyes opened one of the 6 ways of Rinnegan. The path of demonic resurrection. That's why my chakra didn't send her body. And you were silent, a lump of red fur. Naruto exclaimed. Shut up, insect, I was waiting for her to wake up and confirmed my guess, the fox replied and threw her out of the subconscious. Hey, Uzumaki, how are you? Sakura turned to him. Everything is great. So, Kurama is a 9-tailed fox, and he is my friend. They were used as weapons, not suspecting that they were not insane, but only the fear and hatred of people and made them so. You need to go and not tell anyone else, please. Naruto told them, and after a little thought, they agreed. That shinobi will show up soon, don't worry, he said before the others left his room. Inoichi was worried about Ino, as in no way she did not return home on time, and also this conversation about Uzumaki, which was difficult for him to tell his wife. He was on good friendly terms with Minato, and worked with him on secret missions. Then the time was different. Under Minato, a shaky truce balance was established between the warring villages, and when Minato was elected the next Hokage, he was happy for his friend. Without his support, people would not have believed in Minato, but being Hokage was not long. Minato and Kushina were expecting their first child. And on the ill-fated night, a detachment of personal guards was killed, except for the last one. He was found later. During childbirth, an unknown shinobi began extracting the 9-tailed demon fox. Then the beast turned out to be free and all the shinobi were raised on the ears. Many ninjas died that night, and the Hokage himself and his wife sealed the fox in their child at the cost of their lives, and then only the 3rd Hokage arrived and, taking their child, promised to fulfill their will. But what a disappointment it was when the situation was taken under control by the top of the village, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Although he was again chosen by the Hokage, but not omnipotent. And the council of the Hunins with him could not convince the top to leave the child alone, and that he was brought up in someone's family. They had much more influence, and no one was able to do anything. Everyone, without exception, even those surrounded by Minato's friends, were powerless. Mikoto Uchiha expressed a desire to take her friend's son to herself, but she was also denied this. Then Inoichi had Ino, and that's when he was told to put stronger bookmarks so that Naruto wouldn't meet a fox. And a few more to be faithful to the village. Inoichi refused this categorically, and then Danzo said, straight out, that if you refuse, then your daughter will do fine for me, and in the future she will be a concubine. Inoichi cursed this day that they had put pressure on his weak spot and promised to take revenge. But after so many years, he admitted his mistake. And so he went to the council of the Hunins on an important matter. Those Hunins who were here were friends of the old school. As soon as the latter came in, they started a meeting. Today we will talk about Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone was uncomfortable talking about him. I know it's a bad time, but an unknown shinobi in a snake mask laid a hand on his shoulder. Everyone grabbed their weapons and prepared to attack, but the guest only took off his mask and everyone had surprise mixed with shock. His eyes were most illuminated by Sharingan and Rinnegan, and jet black hair. And he put her back on. Everyone had only one thought for voicing, Uchiha. As I understand it, things are shitty, no wonder. What do you want? Ibiki Marino from the interrogation department objected. Wow, you haven't changed a bit, Ibiki, only you've become more severe. And here I am stuck in time, the damned Madara technique. I hit the table with all my might and a crack appeared at the place of impact. So why are you here? As long as I have the opportunity, I can torture you for my pleasure, but these words were not taken seriously by a stranger. What a pity that you don't catch the irony. While I was in a coma, all of you, without exception, are dancing to the tune of the top of the village. And now they have come to their senses when their main weapon of the village has become beyond their control. It doesn't concern you, you have long been removed from the Hunins. Unless, only temporarily. But now you have to decide which side you are on, Minato or oldies. I'll give you a little hint. One person from the Yamanaka clan found out your secret and was on the list for elimination. Inoichi got angry from these words. My daughter? Who dared? Answer me. He stood up and was ready to do anything for his daughter. We observe decency. She is alive and is in your house. I saved her, and your children, dear ones, are under their surveillance. Everyone was shocked by this news. Many were faithful to the will of fire and now they hear that they are not trusted. What? How dare they? I'll tear it to shreds. One of the crowd shouted. Well, what did you decide to defend the side of Minato, if you still have the honor of shinobi? I need to visit one more place. Goodbye. He disappeared in a flash of lightning and everyone began to decide what to do. If they try to touch my daughter again, let them kick at themselves. I want to speak on the side of Naruto Uzumaki. Inoichi expressed his point of view. The others looked at each other and decided that they unanimously supported his decision. It's time to change the government. Naruto risked many times, saving his friends. Now it's time for us to do it, said Irika Yumino. Now the choice is left to our Hokage. Let's see what she has to say in her defense. Tsunade was in a bad mood. She did not leave the residence and her emotional state was most frightening. After Naruto's words, she didn't want to see anyone else and be alone, among the broken things, which she insistently asked not to touch, and the smell of a broken sake bottle only darkened the picture of the office. How could she do this to him? He's all she has left of her family. How he reminded her of her younger brother, who also aspired to become a Hokage. As Minato himself was similar to her fiancé Dan, but they left her only one pain. They died in the Third Shinobi War. She buried them with her soul. How she wanted them to be near her men. Even the annoying Jiraiya with his pestering became just a reminder that life is not worth living like this, and so Shizune was worried about her in the corridor and was going to go in without knocking, when Anbu appeared and went into the office instead of her. Closing the door behind him, she woke up from the noise and tried to figure out who it could be. But she didn't know a single shinobi with a snake mask from memory. Getting up, and examining the guest more closely, she saw that he had several scrolls, and when he took off his mask, he had a sign of the Whirlpool Village on his bandage instead of a protector. And when she put it back on, she couldn't remember the face. You can't know me, because I'm Kushina Uzumaki's own brother. These words shocked her. As far as she knew, there was no one left alive from Kushina's relatives. But how? You don't even look like her at all. You look more like an Uchiha than an Uzumaki. Publicity. My mother was Uzumaki, and my father was from the Uchiha clan. Kushina and I were born at the same time and we were separated. I was sent to train one of the Uzumaki clan in Konoha. And Kushina stayed with her mother until she was 7 years old, until unknown people attacked the village. I was at Shin Uzumaki's training. He taught me everything he knew and told me about my parents and my sister, the brunette replied. What? I can't believe it. So you've been looking after Kushina all this time and wanted to tell her everything? But it was too late. Madara's attack ruined everything, Tsunade said, gradually recovering from the shock. That's right, and I was under his genjutsu, which is not so easy to destroy. I was kept in Orochimaru's secret laboratory near the village. And they tried to regain my consciousness and subdue me. However, nothing happened and I was able to cancel the imposed technique and I woke up. And as I understand it, you came to find out about Naruto Uzumaki, didn't you? I was at the Feudal Lord and showed him some interesting documents about Naruto. And he was furious about what they were doing in his country. Especially with the son of the fourth Hokage, whom they do not want to recognize. Soon, on his orders, a detachment of samurai will arrive and take away for trial all those who were involved in this. after she saw the seal itself with this order, and her eyes widened from this. So you brought it all to the Lord, feudal lord. That's right, I wouldn't be able to do it. I was deprived of the opportunity to communicate with Naruto, as well as the rest of Minato's entourage with Kushina. I won't insist. If he wants to leave the village, so be it, sighed Tsunade and put down the document. Maybe someday he will forgive you. I have to go now. Naruto has to see his uncle. I am the only one of his close relatives. And it looks like he's going to get married. Goodbye. The brunette disappeared and left behind a flash and an open-mouthed Hokage. Zetsu watched everything that was happening in Konoha. However, he was not able to penetrate everywhere. Neither the hospital itself, nor the council of Hunins and Hokage, remained closed to him, and after one attempt, he was burned by an unknown shinobi. And the connection was interrupted by one of the clones. All he managed to learn was practically nothing, and now he was walking towards the leader Sama. He crossed his fingers on his hands and rested his elbows on the arms of the throne. To his left was Kisame Hoshikage, and to his right was Kabuto Yakushi. Fishhead was watching his movements closely, as was the leader himself. Kabuto just has a smile from ear to ear, and in this snake Sannin mode, he was more disturbing, and the leader revealed to everyone that he was Madara Uchiha in an orange spiral mask in front of all the Kage. And declared war on everyone. Zetsu was sent by him to gather information against the hated Konoha. She is guilty in many ways. The death of a close friend and first lover left an incurable wound for Kakashi Hataki's partner, and Minato Namake's teacher. Kakashi wanted to personally deal with, and he was first on the list. And Naruto Uzumaki is standing next to him, always interfering with the organization's plans. Sasuke Uchiha was also here alone without his Taka team. He was ready at any moment to stab his former comrades in the back and destroy Konoha. Zetsu sat down in his seat and began to lead the latest news from Konoha and other places. Naruto Uzumaki is in the hospital, and it is impossible for even my clones to get to him. After one attempt the clone was destroyed, the plant replied, and few were surprised that the best spy failed to get there. Zetsu. That is, as it is impossible, don't deceive me. As far as I know, anyone can easily get to the hospital, the leader replied, waiting for an explanation. The entrance to his ward was not possible due to the blood-red barrier, as well as the Hokage's meeting with the Hunins, said the plant. Barrier. It's not funny, Zetsu, no one can create them. The last one who tried to create and consolidate them was the four of Orochimaru Sound, the leader said, and there were notes of discontent in his words. But I didn't try to get in there. Of course, it was necessary for Sasuke-kun to go with me. Unimaginably turned his body and stared at Sasuke. I don't care what you say there, the brunette replied without any interest. It would be nice, just to get the annoying Naruto Uzumaki out of our way on the way to a great goal, said the leader. Why would I help you, Zetsu? You failed, and you are responsible for your mission, the brunette replied, preparing to leave. Wait, Sasuke. If you're going to leave, remember, you can't beat me, the leader said, and Sasuke left the meeting room. What did you find out, Zetsu? I'm curious. Kabuto asked. Naruto Uzumaki behaved strangely towards his friends. Is it possible to learn more? I like to listen firsthand. It looks like he's going to leave Konoha for good. And he doesn't care about the decision of the top of the village. As I managed to find out, the plant replied. Everything is going even better than expected. He is a vulnerable victim for us. Now the plan of the Eternal Moon is feasible, the leader said, and did not suspect that Sasuke had heard everything. I wonder why he decided to leave Konoha, just like me. It would be necessary to follow him, Sasuke thought, and very quickly disappeared from the Akatsuki's lair. Suigetsu and Yugo were waiting at the exit. Kabuto, do you have all the material ready? The leader asked. You offend, all the preparations are almost ready. it remains only to capture Captain Yamato. His cells of the first Hokage will perfectly take root on our soldiers, Kabuto replied, adjusting his glasses. You offend, Leader Sama. I will be very happy to help. If Guy is there, I will get even with him for everything. Samahata squeezed tighter and she just licked her lips. The meeting was over and everyone began to disperse, as did Sasuke. Sasuke walked past them without saying a word. And they opened their mouths. We're going to ask questions about the new mission. Trailed after him, Suigetsu constantly drank water from a bottle. Because of his body structure, he had to replenish the body's water composition. Yugo was the best spy. He was connected to the nature of animals and could easily find out about the moving danger. As soon as they caught up with him, Sasuke answered. Konoha. I intend to get in there and avenge the clan, he said without any emotion, but it was felt that he was driven by revenge. Your house. Did you really miss him, Sasuke? Suigetsu said and caught a look of complete hatred on himself. Naruto Uzumaki, that's who interested me the most. He wants to leave the village and I need to see it, the brunette replied. Just in a day we will be there, said Yugo, and Sasuke just nodded, about his calculations. What was Naruto involved in? Such a thought flashed through Sasuke's mind. As Yugo said, they arrived at the place on time and began to conduct surveillance. Sasuke alone penetrated through the northern gate, passing the eternal guards. Slipping to the hospital, he noticed that Uzumaki's chakra had become completely cold, like his, and with the help of a Sharingan, he examined the barrier itself. However, at the same second where he was standing on a tree and looking at everything around, a shuriken stuck where his neck should have been, dodging him and simultaneously taking out his katana without a guard. He was preparing to repel the next attacks. Several shurikens and kunai flew at him, beating off each of them. He already felt that the enemy was very strong here. And at the same moment I saw a shinobi in a snake mask in front of me. As when meeting Itachi, a kick to the stomach sent him 10 meters back and Sasuke plowed a few meters of the ground, and after peeling off the skin, he got up and rushed at the shinobi. The blow was blocked by the black blade. A black katana with a dragon image. Sasuke noticed how the Sharingan flashed through the slits in the mask and, having left him at a sufficient distance, created a Nagashi Chidori in his hand. All the space around him was filled with lightning and the unknown moved to another place. Sasuke was expecting this and got into it. Pierced through the chest, but it was a shadow clone. Sasuke saw that it was similar to the same trick of Itachi. Who are you? Answer me, otherwise I'll have to get answers from you in another way. And you, Sasuke Uchiha, are considered stronger than your brother Itachi. What a pity, he should have killed you on that bloody night. You're just a disgrace to your clan, and you've been wishing your brother's death for so many years without knowing his motives. How stupid. You're not from our clan, so who are you? Who am I? Ha. I'm bringing death, you little brat. Sasuke got tired of it and sent a fireball at him. The unknown did not budge and she disappeared into the whirlpool, and then Sasuke felt the tip of a katana on his throat. And how his blood flows down it. After trying to change the situation, Sasuke took a sword with another grip and intended to pierce the opponent's stomach. But instead, flocks of ravens flew from everywhere. Sasuke, in a panic, looked around the space around him and was scared again. One eye was already hurting and let me know that it was enough already. Sasuke could no longer use Sharingan and his eyes returned to their normal state. Finding no one around, he retreated. The unknown only looked at his back and laughed at him. Like the patients in Naruto's ward with Ryuzetsu, Naruto and Ryuzetsu sat in an embrace and looked at Sasuke, who did not understand anything. He should have realized that he was in Uncle Casey's genjutsu, but it hit him so hard that he decided to escape before the ANBU arrived. And like a ninja who doesn't need doors, he appeared in the ward through the window. Just recently they met and now they were laughing at Sasuke's failure. Ryuzetsu was glad that the blonde had the last surviving relative. And he turned out to be one of the best ANBU in his time. He would have competed with Kakashi. Naruto, the troops of the Feudal Lord will arrive here soon, and we can leave this inhospitable Konoha. We should also be given an order about your immunity if we travel in other countries. If they try to attack you, it will be an act of defiance to the Feudal Lord, Casey said. You did your best about that, too, thanks, Uncle Casey. I want to live a free life with Ryuzetsu, and protect our future children from the life of shinobi. He hugged his girlfriend, from which she blushed. Naruto, I love you, my silly, kissed on the lips as a loved one to her. The blonde reciprocated and came together in a kiss. Uncle Casey, can you take Karen? She is being held in the interrogation department. I know that she is not related to me, but we are from the same clan and we value our blood of kinship. As soon as the blonde broke the kiss, he asked. No problem, dear nephew. I'll be there soon. He disappeared into Shunshin. Naruto and Ryuzetsu watched the view from the window. What a pity that he will not be able to admire the beauty of Konoha anymore, as well as show Ryuzetsu, but the landscape from the window was also fascinating. Life was in full swing in the village. People went to work, children played shinobi, some of the shinobi were already returning home after missions. Ryuzetsu put her head on the shoulder of the blonde and was happy with him. In the beginning, she gave a second chance at life, and he also gave her this chance. He hugged her and Ryuzetsu kissed him again and knocked him over on the bed. He just flopped on his back and did not expect anything like that from her. She went down to him and ran her fingers through his hair. She began to playfully play with his tongue, and allowed herself to be explored by the guy. His hands penetrated under the clothes and his hands stopped on the buttocks. Ryuzetsu allowed herself to be freed from her clothes, and then she took them off. Casey was walking up to the interrogation room and Marino Ibiki was staring at him. As if, what do you need? You're not welcome here, he said haughtily. I'm taking Karen Uzumaki, she's coming with me. She'll even agree, because she doesn't care who picks her up, Casey replied. He just blurted something and let him in. Inoichi, Uzumaki came for Karen here, you can escort the guest to her. He only heard about it, looked at the newcomer, and took him to Karen. Fucking Sasuke Uchiha, I hate him. Why did I fall for his so-called revenge for the clan? I curse, he framed me and allowed me to be taken to Konoha. I'll rip out his heart, damn impotent, so many girls are ready to spin for him, and he would be, a bastard. And his eyes, I'll stick them in one place for him. There were footsteps on the grating of the door, and she was sitting as usual, hugging her knees to her. And her gaze caught on the unknown in the mask of a snake and raven hair. His chakra was unusual, as if it attracted to itself, does not repel everyone from itself. Like Naruto. Getting up, Karen approached him and tried to figure out who he was. Karina Uzumaki, you are free under his responsibility, Inoichi said, watching her. By removing the handcuffs that restrict the wearer's chakra from her. Free. Finally. I'm tired of your apartment, and I want to unwind. Lead me, my companion, already addressing Casey. Come on, Karen Uzumaki, we'll talk on the way. Here, please, be quiet, there will be a conversation outside, Casey told her, from which the girl only smiled and trudged after him. Passing by Ibika, Karen wanted to prick her with something, but this one suddenly wants to torment her again, a sadist. And she eventually changed her mind. Going out into the fresh air, the unknown took off his shinobi mask and showed her his face. Unruly black hair covered the left eye, above the eyebrow and at the chin along the scar. One thought came to mind, Uchiha. But he was clearly stronger than Sasuke. The chakra is an order of magnitude higher. Karen's heart was beating harder with every beat. He is definitely more beautiful and nicer than Sasuke will be. Karen concluded to herself and wanted to touch him, as his hand stopped her. Karen, you missed your Sasuke and took him for me. It's obvious, but there's a lot you don't know about me. Let's go. He put on his mask again and she resentfully followed him. So, excuse me, who are you? And how do you know me and my name? The girl asked when she was already walking to his right. My nephew asked for this favor. And my name is Casey Uzumaki Uchiha. The girl only opened her mouth even wider in amazement. What? That is how. But after all, none of these clans exist anymore. Deleted from the history of shinobi. And how can this be? Damn, my head is going to crack like a nut. She could create a lot of questions and reasons in her head. Don't load your head with unnecessary questions. If you want to understand, then listen. My father was an Uchiha, and my mother was an Uzumaki. I was given the appearance from my father, the life force and chakra from my mother. And besides me, my sister Kushina was born, who inherited everything from her mother. I was transferred to Konoha to be raised by a friend of my mother. He taught me everything. I didn't know about my sister for a long time, and then it was only before Sensei died that he told me. I was looking after my sister Kushina at that time, then she had already become the wife of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. And I didn't have time to tell her, my consciousness was imprisoned by Madara Uchiha's genjutsu. I won't forget that look. I promised to keep an eye on Naruto, my nephew. Are you the uncle of this blockhead? But how old are you? You don't look any older than me. I tried to calculate in my mind how old he was, but not more than 20 for sure. 38. I'm well preserved for my age. Let's go have a snack. Besides you there will be those who are not indifferent to Naruto. Her eyes widened from the age of the escort. How can this be? Come on, otherwise I'm tired of these beef patties. I shouldn't have asked them to feed me this for a long time. Karen looked at his back and dreamily imagined how to treat him. Stop, Karen, what kind of thoughts are you having, you little pervert? If it didn't work out with Sasuke, he turned it down, then it definitely won't work out with him. You made me fall in love again, you pathetic bastard. So, calm down Karanaka, calm down. Damn, I'm crazy about him. Damn. Again, I fell for my fantasies because of Uchi. Okay, take a deep breath. Those eyes and cute faces are so attractive. No, that I fell for it again. Stupid. Still, he's cute, after all. They went to have a snack, where they served barbecue and sat down at an empty table to wait for their turn to cook. Karen was uncomfortable with this place. Everyone was looking at her and casting sidelong glances at Casey. And as soon as Karen noticed Sakura, she approached her. Apparently, I also came here to talk to my friends, so I was waiting for them. Oh, I'm sorry, Sakura apologized without noticing Casey. Have a seat, Mrs. Haruno Sakura. The girl was frightened by the official address. Have we met by chance? No, but I knew your father, the same hair. And you know Naruto, my nephew. Are you his uncle? But he doesn't seem to have any relatives left. Excuse me, I'll go, Casey stopped her. Tell his friends that Naruto is leaving the village and it will be at the end of the week. That's where you talked to him for the last time. You can go now. Sakura left, leaving Karen with him. As soon as they waited for their turn, they began to have lunch. Karen enjoyed the meal, as did Casey. This couple was seen by the Inoshikachu trio. Holy shit. Handsome. He has good taste. Ino, hearing about Naruto, pulled Shikamaru by the sleeve and pointed at him. He didn't understand anything at all. This handsome man saved me. I told Sakura about it, you missed it, and intended to join them. Oh, right. But without details it was. Chuji, let's go, he turned to his partner. Yeah, let's go, the fat man replied and followed Ino to sit next to him. Sasuke ranks second after him and he is as handsome as Naruto. If he's a relative of Naruto, then that makes him even cuter. Ino Yamanaka, Inoichi's daughter, isn't she? Casey said, and the girl nodded. Did I tell you my name? And who told you about my name? The blonde asked. Naruto, my nephew. And he told me about each of you whom he trusted until recently, Casey replied and Ino drooped. He was right about that. What kind of friends are they, Naruto, if they didn't tell him that sending to prison was a mission? So it was you who saved Ino. But how could you know that Inoichi-san would be talking about Naruto? Nara intervened in the conversation. You must be from the Nara clan. The laziest and most tactful shinobi. The first thing I had to do when I woke up was to send my shadow clones to friends and associates I trusted. And he admitted the fact that Naruto could be broken. And his friends could notice this concern and tell his parents. And they, in turn, talked to their spouses about it, Casey replied, building a chain of sequential actions. But we don't know your name, Karen interrupted him. He is Casey Uzumaki Uchiha, the last living relative of Naruto. What? There was only one pair of emotions on the face of the trio, surprise and shock. They didn't say a word until the end of lunch, and Casey and Karen left the diner. The trio remained in thought and then went home. A little time has passed since that moment and the end of the week, which Naruto Tsunade gave, was approaching. Hokage herself couldn't come, she was afraid to just look into those eyes of kindness. And admit to myself that I've been lying to him for so long. But soon she herself will tell him the whole truth and decided to say goodbye to him. His friends, at Sakura's request, gathered in the backyard of the hospital and waited for the blonde. Naruto changed his hospital outfit to his own, but Ryuzetsu had to look for new clothes. There was only one bandana left from the old one and Casey, as a caring relative, got her clothes in size. Ryuzetsu changed her clothes and went out with Naruto to be discharged from the hospital. Casey and Karen were waiting for them and went together to Naruto's friends. Kiba came out first and was going to punch Naruto. Are you that dumb, dogman? And do you really think that Naruto is leaving after Sasuke? These words were uttered with mockery. And he felt that a nine-tailed fox was breathing behind Naruto with red eyes. What the hell? Naruto, you're abandoning your comrades, just like Sasuke, Kiba said, stepping back from him. No, I'm not Sasuke. This is my choice and it is not for you to decide my fate for me. And I am the son of the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze. You are also called my friends, but this was already pronounced by the fox. The son of the fourth Hokage? Wait, Naruto. Are you going to leave the village and not come back? Ino ran up to him and looked into his eyes. Yes, Ino, my fate was managed as those who call the top of the village wanted. And they were no better than Uchiha, Naruto replied. Please stay, Naruto. It's the first time I've really fallen in love with you. She didn't want to let him go. Ino, the choice is made. Sai will make you happy, not me. I can't live in Konoha, not after what she did to me. I want to leave her and never come back, Naruto replied. Ino couldn't stand it and started crying. Apologize to Ino, Niji shouted at him. The will of fire was trampled down 17 years ago, when I was born into the world. I'm a human being, not a soulless killing machine. You should also understand me if you consider yourself my friends. He is right, no matter how much we would like to leave him, his pain can also be understood. Damn Inuzuka, he never thinks with his head. Well, at least he doesn't climb, and there's enough trouble without him. Leave him, this is his choice and path. We're not even his comrades, not after we sent him to a bloody prison, Niji replied. Naruto-kun. I was hoping it would be your joke. But no, you're leaving us. I won't be able to persuade you to stay, it will seem to you that this is a childish infatuation. But I love you, and I will always love you. Hinata was on the sidelines and did not want to show up in front of him in tears. She spent more time training after his last meeting. Naruto-kun, is this person really your relative? Lee asked. Casey Uzumaki is an Uchiha and your guy's student, aren't you? Then I look at one copy. And they say that you defeated Sasuke without any problems? Tenten said. Sasuke got caught in genjutsu and couldn't recognize him. And there he fought Itachi, as it seemed to him. The eyes are the mirror of the soul, and in them I saw the whole duel. This is what he used against Sasuke. Tenten was surprised by the answer. Naruto, everyone turned towards the Hokage. Where is she from here? Lady Hokage, we have nothing to talk about, Naruto said, but she continued walking towards him and hugged him. He felt her sobbing and crying. Naruto, your father was my son. Forgive me, granddaughter. I was going to tell you about it, but I was afraid that you would take it for a lie. And Jiraiya was going to tell you about it. Will you forgive your granny, Naruto? I have no one else left, you are the last one, the woman said and continued to sob. Tsunade-sama, Shizune came running after her. Thank you for the truth, Tsunade Senju. I forgive you, but I can't stay in the village. She is too saturated with human vices and there is no place for me in her, so goodbye. She let him go and then Shizune took her out. All the friends heard what Tsunade-sama said, and were even more surprised by Uzumaki's pedigree. As soon as they moved away from the hospital, samurai were walking in the streets with the arrested. The top of the village glared at Uzumaki and cursed him. Are you, Mr. Casey Uzumaki Uchiha? The Lord Feudal Lord asked to hand over a certified document signed by the other lords. Feudal lords. One of the messengers ran up to him and handed the document to his hands. Thank you, said Casey, and he went to the samurai. In addition to the top, there were also those caught from the route. They managed to catch the heads of clans that were on the side of Naruto. Casey approached the elders like Naruto and looked them in the eye one last time before leaving Konoha. They couldn't look away, their movements disappeared somewhere, they didn't even have time to shout, because there was a nine-tailed fox demon in Shinigami behind Uzumaki. They looked at it in fear and couldn't even blurt it out anymore. The released key was enough to understand to the old-timers that any of the defenders of the Uzumaki clan would come for their souls. The Lord Feudal Lord gave Konoha time to elect a new Hokage, as well as the entire top. Minato's friends were pardoned. Tsunade Senju resigned and was awaiting trial. After that, Naruto with Ryuzetsu, Casey and Karen left the Konoha gate. Naruto's friends decided that he made the right choice and did not follow him. Leaving the Land of Fire, Sasuke blocked their way. The daimyo of the Land of Fire was very disappointed with the situation of the child of the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze and his wife Kushina Uzumaki. What was reported 17 years later suggests that he is more of a weapon than an ordinary teenager. Naruto Uzumaki was known as a shinobi who does not deviate from his words, and became famous for missions to other hidden villages. The documents, reviewed urgently, were taken into execution, to deprive the top of the village of any powers and property that they had managed to appropriate to themselves. Now the Hokage will not sit in his place anymore, and Naruto Uzumaki will be under the protection of the daimyo, and let the other Kage be aware the fate of the top with their henchmen will be decided in court. All the prescription and the rest will be ready urgently, and transferred to whom it is necessary. Uzumaki will have one of the treasury accounts for living outside his village. The village is hidden in the sands. Suna, the message came by mail through a bird, and after printing it was handed over to the Kazekage Council for decision-making. Gaara, Temari and Kankuro discussed negotiations with the council members to decide to lead one front against Madara's army. The messenger ran in without knocking and put a report from the daimyo of the Land of Fire on the table. And he left. The meeting stopped for a few minutes and waited for a decision from its Kage. Staying in a minute's silence, Gaara read every word and did not imagine that his first friend Naruto was the son of the fourth Hokage and he was going to leave his once native village. And now he is under the protection of the daimyo and no one dares to approach him from the neighboring villages. Putting down the document, Gaara was silent, and his older sister, who was a year older than him, did not like it. And Kankuro noticed for himself, too, the way his sister looks at Gaara. The others were also waiting to see what was there. Gaara did not delay and said, "Naruto Uzumaki, my friend and ally, the son of the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze will leave Konoha in the near future and he is under the protection of the daimyo of the Land of Fire." "Naruto?" Kankuro and Temari said in unison. "Yes. The report doesn't say what all this is about. If it's his choice, then so be it. I don't intend to force him to swear an oath to me. This blonde, so that's who he looked like on the rock of their village with his face." A memory of one of the blonde's days flashed through his head. "Gaara, we can't defeat Madara without him. So it's not fate. Maybe he will help us all one last time and disappear forever." Let's continue where we left off. The meeting was still going on and after it, Gaara, along with her sister and brother, decided to talk in private. It's all because of the bloody prison. As Shikamaru told me, Naruto cursed his own comrades and he was set up with a prison. They turned away from him on the orders of the current Hokage. You yourself, Gaara, tried to protect him, Temari said, taking a deep breath. I remember, about 13 days ago, he was urgently returned from there to the Konoha hospital. I'm sorry that they did this to him, not as an heir. I'm afraid to imagine what will happen next, Gaara replied. He's your friend, Gaara, can't you talk him out of it? Kankuro put it stupidly somehow. Kankuro, we are not in control of his fate, let him choose a new path for himself. I'm sure he's on the right track, Gaara replied and ended the conversation there. Temari and Kankuro understood what their brother said and dispersed. The village is hidden in the fog. Kiri. The message, after being printed out, was given to the current Mizukage Terumi Mei. She asked Chujiro to read it. Naruto Uzumaki is the son of the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze, and after the betrayal of the top of the village, he is under the protection of the daimyo of the Land of Fire. Anyone who dares to swear him to his village will have to deal with him personally. Thank you, Chujiro. Interestingly, it turns out that Minato Namikaze was a handsome man, and his son inherited these traits. It's a pity that I can't play with him as I wanted. Well, anyway, let's continue. The village hidden in the stones. Willow. Tsuchikage was distracted from his meditation and handed a report to him. Groaning like a 100-year-old man, he got up from an uncomfortable position and decided to read the report. So he's the son of the fourth Hokage. It is a pity that he is under the protection of the daimyo of his country, and I wanted to offer him to become one of my shinobi. His stream of thoughts was stopped by Kuratsuchi's granddaughter. Grandfather, grandfather. What are we reading? Let me take a look. She came up from behind and began to look over her shoulder. It's none of your business, you haven't grown up to my level yet to read such a thing. Get out of my sight while I'm kind, split the paper and levitate it away. How boring you are, Grandpa, you should stretch yourself. The brown-haired woman mumbled into the report and left. The village is hidden in a cloud. Kyumo. Raikage was angry that this son of the fourth Hokage did not die. Revenge for the past still haunts. And after he calmed down a little, he was handed another document from the daimyo of the Land of Fire. What we have here. Bastard fourth Hokage, his son Geek is alive. And I can't get even with him. Damn daimyo, let's see your threats in practice, they are an empty word for me. After the war, I'll get even with him, while it's not worth heating up problems with other villages. Bro, everything is in a bundle, I will be paired with you in this ring of war. B appeared in his office as usual. You're not going anywhere with me, you'll be holed up on Turtle Island. Period, no refunds, he said in a commanding tone, and he drooped. Boredom with you, although I won't try my luck on myself, I'll go home. B managed to get away in time before his brother's huge table overtook him. The village is hidden in the foliage. Konoha. The authorized samurai arrived in Konoha and were on their way to the elders. They did not expect a visit from the daimyo and were not ready for this. Approaching their house, a conversation could be heard outside the doors. How could you lose sight of this girl? She will cause us more problems than anyone else. I need to tear off your head to begin with, or look for it more quickly. But we have already searched everything, and found her. However, he does not let us near him. You were afraid of some kind of ANBU, you were trained to kill unconditionally and not to leave traces, and not to ask unnecessary questions. If this weapon leaves the village, we will fall heavily in the arena of other villages. It has the strongest of the tailed ones. Captain Yamato will control him as it will be convenient for us. It remains only to call him. The door broke with a bang after their conversation and the daimyo samurai entered. The elders just sat there without saying a word. As well as their subordinates arrested at the same second. You are under arrest for treason against the daimyo and the will of fire. Your property will go where it is necessary. The senior came out and showed them the order itself with all the seals and signatures. You won't dare deprive us of everything. They shouted, but it was too late. This is the law, if you try to cope with us, you will die on the spot. The blow sent them into oblivion. We will assume that you surrendered voluntarily. So, now their squad from Danzo is all arrested. He left the house, seeing his partner in front of him. The last one was left without a head, he stated, showing the other prisoners. Less hassle. We take it and report to the daimyo. So let's give Casey Uzumaki Uchiha a message from the daimyo and get out. He gave an order and headed to the center of the village with a detachment. All the residents saw that the top of the village was arrested and was being escorted by samurai. The heads of the clans managed to talk to the elder and everyone expected that they could be deprived of their lives, but now they are witnesses to the case. Tsunade Senju was caught on the desktop and she gave her resignation letter. And fully accepts the conditions set by the daimyo. Before leaving, the samurai waited for Uzumaki and handed them the necessary documents. The elders threatened to blame them for everything. Damn Uzumaki! I curse your kind. It was necessary to seal in this Uchiha than in this blonde. No. At the approach of the blonde, the terrifying chakra of the nine-tail literally flattened them. And they couldn't make a sound. Primal fear enveloped them, preventing them from resisting the inevitable. As soon as the Uzumaki left the village, Konohamaru noticed their disappearance and began to ask Sakura about it. Sakura-chan, where is Naruto going? He won't come back anymore, rather forever. A tear ran down her cheek and the others followed, but she restrained herself and wiped her tears. Where to? No, I don't believe it. You're lying, he can't leave the village, the guy shouted, going into hysterics. Konohamaru, if Naruto was your ideal, then strive for it. Do not deviate from your words and step forward towards your dream, Sakura said and went about her business. Naruto, I will definitely surpass you and become a Hokage like my grandfather, raised his hand to the sun and clenched his fist brown-haired. Smiling with 32 teeth, he changed his gait and went to practice. Hinata managed to get to the gate and looked in the wake of a ray of light. Naruto. My heart was sinking from seeing him for the last time. And driving away unnecessary thoughts, she headed back to the clan. Like Niji, he had noticed for a long time that Hinata had feelings of love for Naruto and was afraid to tell him about it every time. Niji and Byakugan looked at Uzumaki and his uncle for the last time. His chakra reserve is quite huge, just like Naruto's. Probably, his stock is twice as large as his. Sasuke couldn't handle him, the eyes returned to their normal state and Niji went to catch up with Hinata. He was waiting for them. When Naruto leaves Konoha and another one with him. And Karen, his teammate on Taka's team, went with the two of them. When they were outside the village, Sasuke, along with Suigetsu and Yugo, came out to meet them. Sasuke was surprised that one of his clansmen was walking with Naruto, but he was unfamiliar to him and had a completely different look, like Itachi. No pride like the rest of his clan, Suigetsu prepared a decapitator for such cases, and wanted to try how everything would happen on it, but Karen yelled at him. Suigetsu, are you stupid or not? Have you forgotten that you couldn't cope with Madara? So sit there and don't shine. Her chakra seemed to have grown a little to scare him, and adjusted her glasses. Karanaka. My little fish, did you miss me? As if I didn't notice the pressure from Karen, I decided to tease her. Even one more word, and there won't be a drop of water left in you, do you understand? Chains of chakra began to form around her and literally aimed at him, creating kunai. Okay, I was joking, he saw how his hands began to evaporate very painfully, like his body, and there was no one around. He began to turn into a miserable puddle and not a drop of water. He disappeared and died. And Momochi Zabuza's huge sword falls on top of him. Suddenly everything stopped and he pinched himself on this effect and thought it was a guidance. And I saw that Sasuke activated Sharingan against his own. Why do you need this, Uzumaki? Join me. I will refuse. We have a different way, and it is different from yours. The village has nothing to take revenge with. Everyone who was involved in the destruction of the Uchi is awaiting the death penalty. That's what you wanted, right? I see indignation in your eyes. Casey knew how to talk to him. How do you know all this? You couldn't find out from Itachi. I killed him, Sasuke replied, trying in every possible way to provoke him. Are you sure? If he wanted it, you wouldn't be standing here. His strength was at the level of the toad hermit Jiraiya. And worked with him. Then Naruto was surprised by this. Perverted hermit. It can't be. Are you lying? I defeated Itachi. Sasuke shouted. Itachi was devoured from within by the power of Mangekyo Sharingan, and he needed to transplant the eyes of a close relative to himself in order not to die. I know a lot more than you do, Sasuke. Sasuke, you shouldn't just waste your strength with him. Even my strength won't be enough, said Yugo. Yugo, I wasn't going to fight him, I was just going to get to know him better. Karen, will you follow me? No. You treated me meanly and left me with the Konokovites. And you, Suigetsu, just try to get closer. Sasuke didn't say anything, and this toothy one just decided to approach her. I'd rather refuse, Karanaka, and for a joke I got a punch in the face. Suigetsu, are you completely stupid for the whole head? You asked for it. Doton, turtle, a trap of earth formed around this idiot and formed the shape of a turtle. Idiot, Sasuke muttered through his teeth. Naruto is my nephew, if that doesn't surprise you, Uchiha Sasuke. The blood of two clans flows in me, Uchiha and Uzumaki. Sasuke was taken aback. It can't be, as far as I know. Within the clan, only marriages between relatives took place. No other way, you're lying. The brunette replied and was preparing to take out a katana without a guard from behind his back. Are you sure? He appeared behind Sasuke and twisted his arm. Sasuke felt his wrist being held tightly and there was no chance to move it. Having tried to create Nagashi Chidori around himself, he failed. The technique dissipated in an instant and Sasuke got even more angry at Casey. Mangekyo Sharingan changed the pattern and then Itachi's raven began to be released from Naruto through the oral cavity. The program started and was postponed before Sasuke's eyes. The order to protect the village from any threats, as if two voices had just spoken. And Casey let Sasuke go. "Naruto, see you later," the brunette replied without turning around and waved goodbye to the blonde. Yugo began to free Suigetsu from the dungeon and began to catch up with Sasuke. "Uncle Casey, did you know that this raven is sitting in me?" Naruto asked. "No. Judging from what I saw in the superimposed technique, it was Shusui's eye. And it takes 10 years to reboot, as I understand it. Itachi made them work only in front of his eyes. Not everything is clear." "How did you know it was Shusui's eye?" the blonde man asked. "Eyes, like a mirror of the soul, keeps everything in itself. And I saw it." "Sorry, Itachi. Naruto, you said Konan was supposed to meet us. Did you send her a message?" He looked at his nephew. "Should be here any minute." "Damn, where is she going?" "This raven clung to me." A bird landed on the blonde man's shoulder and cawed. Zetsu saw everything and could not believe that he could be outwitted. He is a master of guile and lies. He could not pit the two surviving Uchi against each other. He was looking out of the bushes at them, neither genjutsu nor anything else affected them. He cursed them to the point of gnashing his teeth. Sasuke is impulsive and easily controlled by emotions. And this one has an unknown technique, because of which it is impossible to take it under control. As well as penetration through his barrier, something prevented it from being done. Although there were no barriers for him to do this. He intended to harass them in the future. As soon as he tracked down where Nagato's body was hidden, suddenly, at the last moment, he felt the heat coming at him, which destroys everything in its path. Amaterasu. "Burn, you beast!" Casey said, and the bush behind which Zetsu was hiding caught fire instantly with a black devouring flame. "I curse you, damn Uchiha, I will take revenge on you, mark my words." The scream ended and the flame went out after the cancellation. Sasuke was heading to one of Orochimaru's hideouts. Yugo and Suigetsu were catching up with him. The brunette sat down on an empty chair and, thinking, rested his elbows on the table. His head was visited by many thoughts, for what reason he would defend the hated Konoha, and his brother's voice never left his head. Suigetsu put his sword in the corner and also sat down, as did Yugo, away from Sasuke. He did not give any orders after saying goodbye to this blonde and strange company. Maybe this Uzumaki is right that my clan is so rotten that Itachi had to cut it out alone. I will not leave Naruto alone with him. He is interesting to me as an object that makes me become stronger. How could he dispel my technique in a second? I do not know what kind of eye he had, but he is very strong with it. He just now remembered the unusual dojutsu of this man in his left eye. "Sasuke, we wanted to erase Konoha from the map of the Land of Fire. Wasn't that what you wanted?" Suigetsu said. "Suigetsu." Sasuke suddenly said threateningly, and Toothy snickered when he saw the rage in their commander's eyes. Maybe Sasuke is right. Only it's pointless to chase them. I would have learned from the animals, but they disappeared. And also a flame, like Sasuke created Itachi back then, replied Yugo, although he wasn't there, but he was able to learn it from the animals. Damn bastard, he copied all my techniques. I want to compete with him. No one dares to fool me. He punched me and threw away the cloak that was given to him in Akatsuki. And burned it. I will not follow the path of revenge for my clan, but I will be the shadow of the village, as Itachi and Jiraiya used to be. I will help you for the last time, Naruto, and our paths will part, the brunette thought before going to the same place with these two. Casey recalled the days when Konoha was different, when the village was just defending the rights to the land of the country. And feuded with others. Frequent clashes with shinobi ended in deaths and many never returned home. Hiruzen Sarutobi was the third Hokage then, and was one of the few who mastered all 5 elements. Like Minato, Casey served in the NSA. Casey didn't know that he and Uzumaki had family ties, and his sensei Shin Uzumaki told him about it. This man was much older than everyone from the village. "Casey, come here, my student," the old man called to sit down opposite him, pointing to the tatami. "Yes, sensei," the student replied and sat down without talking. "As you know my origin, I am Uzumaki and proud of it. And you, too, Casey, one of us." These words knocked him out of the rut of life and echoed. "What? Wait, teacher, is this possible? It doesn't fit in my head in any way, that is, only you knew about my origin." "Exactly so, my disciple. I didn't want you to be known from the top of the village. Our clan did not look for ways to be in power, and always adhered to neutrality. But we made alliances with other clans, we never gave our women as concubines to someone." "So who are my parents?" Casey asked, still in shock. "Your mother was Miya Uzumaki, and your father Isao Uchiha." "Uchiha? Uzumaki? I'm a half-breed, right, sensei, and who else besides me from the Uzumaki clan is alive? And I don't like the Uchiha clan here too much. Kushina Uzumaki is your sister. You were separated when you were still children. You were given to me for upbringing, and Kushina stayed in Uzushio until the age of 7, well, and then you yourself know how it all ended. I told you. I have nothing more to hide from you, my disciple. Soon I will leave this world. I have to talk to her, sensei, if you'll let me. Why didn't you tell me before? I should have known." "Oh, Casey. Kushina wouldn't believe you, she wouldn't be able to recognize a relative in you in such a position." He then remembered that she was pregnant and her abilities as a shinobi were cut off. "Damn. Maybe then I can talk to her later." Only once did he hear the name of the child that Kushina and Naruto were waiting for. The name is well remembered. He would like to train him as soon as there is time. These were the last days before he fell into the abyss. Casey was falling into the abyss and could not cling to the only thread of freedom. Then there was a pounding, like a heartbeat, and the sound became clearer and clearer. There was no one where he was being held, and the instruments beeped. With a jerk of his hand, he took the 4-needle out of the vein and threw it aside. Then he began to take off his hospital shirt and threw it on the tiled floor. Suddenly, the left eye hurt and blood flowed. He opened the spatial pocket and took out his spare equipment from there and disappeared before the root appeared. "I'm sorry, little sister, that I couldn't tell you about myself. And Naruto. Lord, how he lives now, I'm afraid to imagine what has become of him. He's like you, Jinchuriki Kubi, but Yoko. You can't forgive me. Even I wasn't strong enough to protect you. Naruto is the only nephew, I hope I will come in time to pick him up from Konoha. But first we need to find out how Minato's friends are doing there." Shadow cloning. Several copies were created and sent to different parts of the village, and among them was the Yamanaka quarter. On the way there, one of the roots came across. He used a network of threads and did not know that in front of him was an Uchiha who was able to unravel his secret and win. The enemy did not notice how his trap killed him, depriving him of his head and hiding his presence. He began to observe the house where Inoichi was presumably. Only now there was another one from the root next to the neighboring tree and did not notice it. A blonde stood at the door and listened to the conversation of her parents. Perhaps she was Inoichi's daughter. As soon as the conversation was over with her parents, she ran as fast as she could. And information was transmitted into the microphone that the NSA did not have time to activate. Casey managed to catch her before the others got to her. Eyes like Inoichi's and hair that grows to the waist. Bangs hang down and cover the view of a beautiful face. She seemed to feel that she would not be harmed and agreed to fulfill the condition, to be silent like a fish. After the root disappeared, he let her go, and went to Naruto. After the clones dispersed, they transmitted a lot of information and some information about Naruto Uzumaki. The daimyo of the Land of Fire will be happy to get even with the top. It's a pity that Danzo did not live up to this moment, that he opened a gap in the barrier and entered through the window into the ward. Naruto was a little surprised by this and tried to figure out who it could be. Turning to the stranger, he was surprised. Uchiha. But not Sasuke for sure. He wasn't wearing ANBU gear. Stop. It's strange, his chakra is completely different, the blonde remarked, and was ready to enter the hermit mode and understand what he was going to do. How did you get here? Answer me. The blonde man shouted, and did not feel threatened by him. Naruto Uzumaki, I am your uncle. Casey Uzumaki Uchiha, I'm your mother's brother, she doesn't even know that I'm her family, the brunette replied, taking off his mask. And there was a Rinnegan in the left eye. Rinnegan. Wait, where did you get it from? I was able to awaken it, being on the verge of life and death. It is transmitted only through the male line. So, do you believe me? I believe you, Databe. You're not lying, uncle. The blonde man sat down on the bed and stared at Casey. Your mother used to say all sorts of things, too, how amusing it was. I'm sorry, Naruto, that your childhood was without parental care. And as I see it, you're going to leave Konoha. How do you know that? The blonde was even more surprised. I can see what you've been through. Your mom's life wasn't sweet either. She was teased because of the color of her hair and tried to kidnap her once. Your father Minato noticed her then and saved her. They betrayed me, my friends and the Hokage. I would have followed my parents if it wasn't for her, Ryuzetsu. She gave her life for me to live. I would not have believed that she would live. She's sleeping, isn't she? Yes. When she wakes up, I'll take her out of here and leave at Conan's invitation. Okay, Naruto, I need to go on business, I'll be back soon. He left in Shun's hike and sent one of the daimyo's clones, while he remained to monitor the situation in the village. And as soon as the clone passed everything, the daimyo received an answer. Leaving Konoha, he met live Uchiha Sasuke, the last of the Uchiha clan, not counting him. Naruto managed to tell about him. After a short conversation with Sasuke, they were met by a blue-haired woman in a black raincoat with red clouds on it. Naruto approached her and told her about his decision to leave Konoha and go to the village of Rains. In Konoha, the new temporary Hokage was chosen by the Council of Hunins and with the support of the daimyo, Kakashi Hatake. Kohara and Hamura were sentenced to death after being brought to court. A few days later, several countries sat down at the negotiating table in the Iron Country to solve some of the problems. The first, as always, aggressively expressed Reikage. The other Kage were wary. I'm putting myself forward for the role of commander. The rest are incompetent. Aren't you taking too much on yourself, Reikage? I remember you used to tremble at the mere mention of the fourth Hokage, Oanoki said. Tsuchikage, hold your tongue. He's gone. None of you have any more genies left. Akatsuki must be destroyed now so that they do not gain even more strength. No one dares to invade my country, especially from Konoha, Uchiha. More problems from you, Kakashi Hatake, a copying ninja of 1,000 techniques. In an instant his body was covered with lightning. Do you have any complaints about the village? Please state them in writing. Here we are not going to measure muscles. And you shouldn't quarrel with our village yet, Kakashi replied, lifting the protector and activating the Mangekyo Sharingan. Bitch. Next time I'll get even with you and the daimyo won't save you. He said it right in the face and the veil disappeared. Mr. Raikage, do not violate the chain of command, this is neutral territory and you cannot violate this status. Sit down in your seat, asked Mifune, the head of the samurai and the Land of Iron. Irritated, he sat down in his seat. In addition to the command, we still need to approve who else will be in various detachments and command armies. In addition, all shinobi will wear one protector of the united troops, Kakashi said. And everyone supported his idea without exception. They immediately provided lists of all the shinobi of their villages. After the meeting, the Raikage in anger smashed a tree with his hand, which interfered on the way. And destroyed a few more in addition. Kakashi calmed down a little after that, because talking about the Raikage at the council is fraught. It's no scarier than hiding from Sakura. After her, at least you'll be alive, and not with the Raikage, who will also leave one corpse. Gaara tried to find out from Kakashi what had become of Naruto. And the answer was disappointing. He left Konoha in an unknown direction. His sister Temari and his brother Kankuro also heard it. Yes, this blonde is crazy. I don't envy him if he meets Raikage. His former sensei couldn't beat him. And what those old people were thinking. Now the problems have started because of them. I hope he's okay. Temari would never have thought that Naruto, the most cheerful of the ninjas, who always gave everyone a smile, was now darker than a cloud and went into the unknown. He didn't like her, but Gaara accepted him as his first friend. Kankuro also accepted him as a friend. However, together with Gaara, I was afraid of Temari's character. Sasuke, accompanied by his relatives, left the meeting, as did the rest of the Kage. And I wondered how the fate of this boy would have turned out. Fate was not so tough with him. And the Raikage won't want to miss the chance to get it. Mizukage did not even comment on the whole situation and left, accompanied by her assistants, returning to her country. Kakashi couldn't even say goodbye to Naruto. He was his father's disciple, and couldn't even teach him anything. What kind of sensei is he after that? If he allowed the team to split, Sakura and Sai are the only ones left. And Naruto's friends became noticeably sad. Ino is the most. Only now did she realize that she shouldn't have let him go. Shikamaru, as one of his friends from the academy, became gloomy, and nothing but indifference was expressed on his face. Sakura was crying into her pillow, she was suffering. Naruto might be annoying, but he always helped out when help was needed. I couldn't even hug him goodbye. She didn't want to do this to him. Neji was a genius for his age in a clan from a side branch. Without fully realizing, Naruto was saying to apologize. Only then did I realize that Naruto didn't have to apologize. He has suffered so much in his life that it is pointless to force him. How could he, on the feelings of a blonde, tell him so? Hinata surprised him more until he remembered how she protected Naruto from pain. And she herself died, though then she came back to life. She told him later. Neji couldn't believe that the harem of the clan could fall in love with a blonde as a very little girl. None of the friends knew that Naruto had an uncle. If they hadn't seen it themselves. He knew everyone by name and character. Naruto, why did you decide to leave us? You know you're hurting me. I want you to stay in Konoha with me, Sakura said in tears. Seeing how bad she was, her mother came up and hugged her daughter. She continued to cry, but not as much as before. Sakura, that's enough. Naruto will not be able to return to Konoha. He protects you from the others in the village. He will be hunted for his strength. You have to understand him. Mom, I can't live like this. I want him to be with me and Ryuzetsu. She accepted him for what he is, and tears flowed again. Oh, Sakura. Naruto has always been the son for you, behind which you played as a child. You have to remember this. I only talked to him once and he called you an angel. Uzumaki gave everyone a smile, despite the fact that he was rejected by everyone. He has become better than all of us, having preserved a person in himself, and we ourselves have become worse, she said in her ear soothingly, as if trying to warm it. Thank you, Mom. Come on, my darling. I'm your mother and I understand you perfectly. Don't look back, look forward. You will stop, and you will not notice how time has flown by. You are Sakura, a symbol of love and hope. The sixth Hokage gathered all the Hunins to tell about the rakeage. Everyone present was surprised by his reaction. The rakeage will stop at nothing. As I understand it, he is not afraid of our daimyo at all. The other Kage were also amazed by his fearlessness. Mr. Hay is not afraid of anyone except my deceased sensei Minato Namikaze. He's going to capture Naruto at any cost. Kakashi, is it possible to break the daimyo's word? I don't understand. He seriously thinks he can grab Naruto. It is unlikely that he will succeed. Naruto and his uncle will give odds to any shinobi, Inoichi said. I agree, but we need to be safe in this case. Naruto is very strong and he will be hunted. Raikage does not deviate from his words. Raikage can't handle all of us alone, Hayashi said. Hayashi, I understand that you are the only master of your unique taijutsu in all shinobi countries. You can defeat him, Mato Guy answered here. Guy, shut up, all clans are on the side of Naruto and I, as the current Hokage, support this idea. Now we just have to find out when the first step of Uchiha Madara will be made, Kakashi said, looking at his friend. Where's Captain Yamato? He was at the residence this morning. Did he really disappear? And then everyone realized that they had not seen him again during the day. Find him. While the rest of the villages did not find out about the secrets of Mokuton, Kakashi and Anbu said in an imperative tone that they were nearby, immediately went in search of him. Akatsuki's lair, the leader hid his joy behind a mask. And, unfortunately, I could not share it with others. Sasuke and his friends went to no one knows where. And Zetsu was pleased with Kisame. Leader Sama, the task is completed. The owner of the Makoto is now with us. He was recently handed over to Kabuto. Everything is going better than ever. The leaders of the countries are determined to fight against our army. And no one will help them. Everything went very smoothly. Now neither Sasuke nor Naruto will help anyone. Prepare to hand over the bodies of Kabuto for resurrection. It will be done, Leader Sama. That is, Uchiha-san. Kisame grinned and went along with Zetsu to send the bodies. Soon. I'll see you very soon, Rin. And you, Kakashi, will suffer all your life. I'll keep that word, remember. After all, you helped me find out when our teacher will be weak. His death is on your hands. The village is hidden in the rain. The downpours never stopped here for a second. One of the features of this village and the same thing, time and mystery. The village itself consisted of high-rise buildings similar to a water supply system. Conan led Naruto's friends with confidence, and was not afraid that they might be noticed. They all had capes to protect them from the rain. Fortunately there were enough of them for all of Casey's supplies. His spatial pocket held many useful things. And not all the secrets are still known to others. Hugging each other, Ryuzetsu walked next to her lover, and did not let the guy go far from her. The same thing was written on Karen's face. She walked behind Casey and occasionally imagined with him how she would comfort her. But at every thought she pulled herself away and tried not to miss a chance to seduce him. Naruto, your uncle is a reliable person, was able to issue documents to us without any problem so that we were under the protection of the daimyo of the Land of Fire. I do not know how to describe my gratitude to him for this. And Conan knows him very well. Perhaps she will let us live in a new way. I don't know, maybe it will be right. Karen is somewhat similar to Naruto. maybe with a chakra or an explosive character. How funny it looks. But their parents were from the same village, maybe it unites them by blood ties, and not to leave their own. Conan led them through several corridors and passages before they were inside. The room was huge, where Conan showed the guests the rooms. Taking off their cloaks, they hung them up to dry. Conan was glad that Naruto accepted her offer and decided to move to live in this village. But I did not expect that 2 more clansmen would go with him, Casey and Karen, and the beloved, Ryuzetsu. Naruto-kun, how are you? I see that you were not accepted into society because of your new powers, Conan said and received a nod from the blonde. Sister Conan, you're right, these rotten people have nothing to prove. The village, friends and Hokage turned away from me so that I would perfectly fulfill my role in the bloody prison. I met Ryuzetsu there, and there was a seal on us prisoners of this prison that restricted the use of any of the techniques. I was sent there on false charges for attacking other Kages. Someone used my techniques that I use, the blonde replied. I'm so sorry for you, Naruto. They treated you meanly, let them regret that they lost such a beautiful shinobi. Abandoning your comrades in trouble is not within any framework in the shinobi world, but only betrayal and treason. Yahiko, Nagato, and I created an organization called Akatsuki so that the world would be without warriors, and everyone would be our comrades. But after Yahiko's death at the hands of Hanzo, Nagato was swallowed up by darkness and became known as Pain. You, Naruto, were able to stop him and look at things differently. You change people regardless of their desires and intentions. I, on the rights of my friends, invite you to stay here. Make yourself at home. No one will look for you here. I heard that the Kage are preparing for war with Madara. I don't care about the fate of the village and what will become of it. I am not interested in the war and what interests they will pursue. Conan-san, is Nagato's body definitely not going to be found by Zetsu? The blonde man asked. Don't worry, only I know the burial place of Nagato's body. But are you excited about something else? Am I right, Naruto-kun? Sakura with Ino. They didn't want me to leave Konoha. They worry about me, whether everything is okay with me. They are like mothers who love their child, they want to protect me. Only now they realized it. I felt their feelings when they left Konoha. Well, I didn't think that those with whom you worked in teams would suddenly change their opinion about you. And your uncle, who is he, Naruto? Casey Uzumaki Uchiha. My uncle and my mom's brother Kushina Uzumaki. I found out about him the other day, and he did everything so that they wouldn't chase me from the top of the village with the rest. Our daimyo also notified others about me. I'll starve to death if I don't eat something now. I also need a shower and a nice bed. Karen said and drew laughter from Casey. Karen Uzumaki, a former subordinate of Orochimaru, I've heard about you, and if you need all the delights of civilization, choose one of the rooms at your discretion, everything is there, kitchen, bathroom and bedroom, Conan answered her. And she left, choosing a 4th room for herself. You have an interesting relative, Naruto-kun, would never have thought that a marriage alliance would be concluded between 2 warring clans by mutual consent. Isn't that right, Casey? Your chakra is an order of magnitude higher than Naruto, and you have awakened Rinnegan. You are a very dangerous enemy for any country with such abilities. Thanks for the compliment, Conan, but we all need a rest right now. And thank you for taking me in. It's not worth it, it's not a burden to me. Moreover, the premises are empty, and I could not find a use for them. Make yourself comfortable. Conan-san, thank you for everything, and to you, Uncle Casey. Let's go Naruto. Yeah, Naruto and Ryuzetsu chose a room on the left side and closed themselves from the inside. Casey went in the opposite direction and, opening the room, went to the bathroom. Ryuzetsu playfully grinned and began to take off her clothes, inviting Naruto to take a bath together. The blonde did not lose his head and stood under a stream of hot water after his beloved. The water soaked Ryuzetsu's hair again and flowed down, flowing around the contours of her body. Naruto, without taking his eyes off, looked at it and hugged her. The girl did not try to escape from the guy's embrace and only asked to loosen her grip so that she could face him herself. Their lips touched and felt the sweet taste on their lips. The girl ran her fingers into the guy's hair and his hands went down, grabbing her friend's delicious ass. Casey, after taking a shower, started cooking dinner. And as soon as I cooked daifuku, I fried rice in oil with pieces of pork and vegetables. And nikujaga, thinly sliced pork, is fried with potatoes and onions. I managed to make dango for sweets. After the cooked dinner, he lay down on a soft bed and fell asleep. The calm was short-lived, broken only by the appearance of Karen naked. Did you really think that I would not miss the chance to be with you, my dear Casey? I'm too old for you, aren't I? I don't care what you think. She was like a predator sneaking up on her prey and, making a jump, hovered over him. Completely ignoring that the partner is against. He pushed her onto the bed, swapping places. I see you're a masochist, however, it's in the blood of a few, Casey whispered and leaned towards her. She squeezed the guy tightly and did not notice how she tipped over from the bed. Ignoring it, she wanted it and gave herself to him. The next morning, Naruto and Ryuzetsu woke up covered only with a sheet. Just like Casey and Karen. However, Karen clung to Casey, did not want to let him go at all. I didn't even want to get out of my arms. And yet Casey got off her and was going to have breakfast. Naruto would have lain for a long time if it wasn't for Kurama's voice. Keep it up, kid. These are not the feelings that were with Kushina and Mito. Was it nice for you? Yes. We feel everything that you people feel. Ryuzetsu loves you. You can't fool me. Listen, Kurama, there was no surveillance on us. There was no, from the moment when you left Konoha, I did not sleep, and for all the time I did not feel someone else's presence. By the way, you're going to be a father. I know. Wait, what? That's why I called you, kid, and now get out of here and let me sleep. Damn, a ball of red fur. Ryuzetsu woke up from the fact that the blonde was swearing. And rubbing her eyes, she pulled the sheet over herself and began to dress. Finding underwear, she put a light robe on top of it. At that time, Tsunade Senju was at the daimyo's trial and the question of her life was being decided. She was perfectly aware of her actions and could not do otherwise. How I wanted to personally kill the culprit of everything that happened on the spot. Danzo died at the hands of Sasuke and the daimyo is aware of this. And now he was passing a verdict. You disappoint me, Princess Tsunade. I had a different opinion about your clan. What changed? You were bent over, your grandfathers would have turned over in their coffins. This is an unforgivable act. And due to the fact that he is your grandson, I can only give you permission to defend the honor of your clan with the rest of the shinobi. This way you can make amends for the war in front of your grandfathers. Thank you for your generosity, Daimyo-sama. Tsunade bowed and left the hall. Now she knew that she could make amends for her guilt, and this by standing next to other shinobi. The war was already underway, none of the shinobi were at enmity with each other, old grievances were forgotten for a while. Information from censors came from the headquarters and gave orders for the offensive. The Kage also did not sit still and participated in this battle. The attacks of the White Zetsu were from everywhere and it was difficult to determine, because they could disguise themselves as anyone. And besides them, the headache was brought back from the dead by mercenaries from Akatsuki and the first Kage countries. How much longer do we have? Barely trudging, Haydn said. Shut the fuck up, Haydn, you say that at every stop. I'm tired of it, the bomber responded. Do you want to send me the fuck? So go yourself. I didn't want to work with you initially. It would be better to work with Kakuzu than with you, Deidara, the priest of Jashin replied in his manner. You don't understand anything at all why we were resurrected. Quite an idiot. No fucking way. I just want to say that Kabuto is using us, and you can't think of anything worse. How can you be so insignificant? What? Look at yourself, too, I exploded by myself. Oh, you pest, I showed everyone my greatest art of explosion. You're dead too. Yeah, well, don't forget yourself, they would have been swearing and swearing among themselves for a long time if Zetsu hadn't appeared. He appeared wherever he wanted and from where. That's enough. You must avenge your deaths. Kakashi Hatake can't handle you too. Another conversation, Zetsu. I want to avenge my hand on him. I will be the first, Deidara, I will sacrifice him to Jashin-sama. Okay, Kabuto successfully hid and watched from everywhere what was happening and skillfully summoned the puppets. The Mist Swordsman, the first Kage, except from Konoha, fought with the Alliance army. Kinkaku and Ginkaku, the two brothers who had been inside the nine-tailed fox, were successfully used to complete Tsukuyomi's plan. Kabuto was able to detect only Anko, but she could not cope with him. She was lying unconscious. Everything would be fine, but he felt that a shinobi was approaching here. 1. Enough, Kabuto, stop doing this madness. I will stop you in the name of the will of fire. And you've changed, Sasuke-kun. I have a gift for you. A coffin appeared, from which Itachi's body rose. Surprised. You can't beat him, he's under my complete control. Soon I'll get your eyes too, Sasuke-kun. Orochimaru-sama has long been interested in the power of these eyes. You're afraid of me, I can feel you trembling, Kabuto. Itachi looked at Sasuke with dull eyes and imperceptibly sent a series of shurikens to Sasuke. After beating off a few shurikens, Sasuke created Nagashi Chidori around himself and allowed Itachi to move away for a while until the Susanoo form began to be created around him. First the skeleton and then the armor covered the giant. And in the end, Sasuke used Kamui. The technique that Kakashi and Itachi used at it worked perfectly and sucked Itachi into the funnel before he brought down the Amaterasu flame on Susanoo. But Itachi used the substitution technique and found himself in a completely different place and was already under the protection of his Susanoo. Kabuto watched them and stayed away, and then something happened that Kabuto did not expect. Itachi resisted his resurrection technique and sided with Sasuke. In an attempt to escape, he failed. The replacement technique did not help, his tail was nailed to the ground. Itachi applied his technique on it. And he was able to cancel not all resurrections, but only those who were under his control. And he freed himself. Sasuke, how much I had to tell you. I was devoted to the village, not to my family. I'll always be with you, little brother. He disappeared and Sasuke came here for what he had been looking for so long, Anko. She had the last cursed seal left and, having done the printing of the seal, Orochimaru appeared. I see you need me, since you decided to return me in this way, Sasuke-kun. Uchiha Madara has been resurrected, only our Hokage and I can stop him. Naruto Uzumaki, did you call me because of him? I can't feel his chakra. Kabuto, I'm taking back what you took from me. Approaching his student, he took all his knowledge and went with Sasuke to one place. Uchiha Obito watched Kakashi fight with Rin. And I hoped that he would go crazy, killing his friends again. He read everything down to the smallest detail and no one could make him tremble with fear. Sakura was in his hands, a weighty argument to make Naruto Uzumaki appear. The chakra of those twins was not enough to complete the resurrection of the ten-tailed Jubi, and now he knew where to go. In the village of Rains, his access was limited and therefore he decided to call him on the emotions of the blonde. Taking out the kunai, he made a deep wound in the shoulder muscle on Sakura, from which she screamed. Naruto was meditating at that time and felt something was wrong. How could Sakura be here? And thanks to his father's technique, which he managed to learn, he found himself on the roof of the building in front of Obito. Give me the nine-tailed and your girlfriend won't get hurt, Uzumaki. Get your hands off her. There's no way I'm giving you nine tails. You can't make me do this. Naruto quickly found himself behind Obito, where he had a seal from his father and pressed down with a Rasengan. Sakura managed to pick up the clone and put it away. Impossible. You couldn't have become stronger than him. The cursed fourth Hokage and his son. I'll kill you. Kamui, Casey appeared and the technique began to pull Obito into one of his dimensions. Obito disappeared and Sakura was safe. The clone dissipated and she rushed at Naruto in tears. Naruto. Why didn't you stay? I've been chasing Sasuke all this time and only now realized that I want to be with you. Please help the alliance one last time and please come back alive. Casey-san, Raikage will want to take Naruto's power for himself. Please put it back in its place. I was told by Kakashi-sensei that he is now in our position of Hokage. Everyone, without exception, misses you, Naruto. Me, Ino, Hinata, Tenten, Konohamaru and the rest. Please, the war will be lost without you. Sakura, stay here. I haven't told anyone yet that Ryuzetsu is pregnant with my child. If something happens, you will be the godmother of my child. She suddenly stopped crying and looked at the serious face of the blonde. And wiped away her tears. Naruto, just don't die. If you die, how am I going to look Ryuzetsu in the eye and tell your child? Promise me you'll come back, and I'll keep your word. I promise, Sakura. Uncle Casey, they can't do it without us. Conan has to protect them while we're gone. And how do you like Nagato's eyes? Only now Sakura noticed these eyes, before that they were under the henge. Thanks to them, I easily learned all the elements. Great. Now you are closer in strength to Rikudo Sannin. Yes. I have already received his seal. There was a sun-shaped seal on his arm. Sakura was perplexed, and as soon as she was taken to Conan, she was able to calm down a little. She began to heal her wounds. Sister Conan. Look after them, my uncle and I need to end this war. This will be the last time the shinobi will know about me. Go ahead. Don't worry, I'll take care of them. Jiraiya-sensei would be proud of you, Naruto, just like me. Let's go. Dodging Zabuza's attack, Kakashi could be heard how tired he was and there wasn't much strength left. The last time they fought according to the same scenario, Haku covered the host with himself, only that was more than 2 years ago and it all happened again. Haku was sealed by the sealing team in time. Other mist swordsmen are fighting from the land of lightning. Zabuza did not seem to be exhausted and his movements were like then, lightning fast and heavy. Even with the Sharingan activated, it was difficult, because of the fog, which was like a haze, it was impossible to see the viewing angle around him, and kept him in suspense all the time. Then a whistle was heard, and then the step of the enemy, who struck a blow for the final movement to split in two. Catching the movement, Kakashi managed to escape from the collision in a split second and, while the swordsman did not see him, used Raikiri. This temporarily allowed Sai to use sealing beasts and Zabuza was trapped. After waiting for the right moment, Sai managed to seal it in time and catch his breath for a while with Kakashi. They managed to seal too many resurrected ones, however, they spent enough chakras. Holding in his hands the sword that had fallen out of Zabuza's hands, Kakashi blocked the blow of a new opponent and everything started rushing again. He hadn't forgotten how Rin looked at him. Those eyes, in which there was a plea for the termination of life. Kakashi, please do as you did then, you liked it so much. Answer me. You like killing your friends. That's enough, Rin. I've been tired of watching you die at my hands for a long time. Please. And her body was split in two by a decapitator. Sai arrived in time and sealed it. Niji, Kiba, Chuji and Shikamaru faced the Four of Sound. They were the best specimens that Orochimaru could achieve. And this time they were already ready to fight them on equal terms. The four activated the cursed seals and engaged them in battle. Shikamaru could not get under hypnosis this time and managed to place explosive seals around himself. The enemy, not noticing the trick, blew up on the spot. Chuji entered with another opponent of his category and blocked the blow in time. If he had been smaller, he would not have spiked. At that time, the pills of the clan helped him for a while. This time he is ready. And, having partially increased his body volume, he struck a blow, and the opponent flew away to a sufficient distance. Kiba and Akamaru were two Siamese twins. They inspired horror with disgust. They attacked them using the double claw of destruction and were able to take them out for a while. An arrow was flying at Niji and, having made a rotation, knocked her down. And then the enemy began to send even more arrows at him, and each one fought them off without hindrance. Only the guys didn't realize that they were being put out of action. Their comrades felt something was wrong, but it was too late. They lost consciousness. Ino, Shino, and the others rushed to the lifeless bodies of their friends and tried to figure out what had happened. No. We may lose them. My God, for what? Ino was saying. It's bad, if we don't save them, it'll be too late, Shino concluded. Naruto, I beg you, save them, Ino said, almost crying. At that time, Temari, one of the whole squad, was one of the strongest in the element of wind, and she was well aware that she was not omnipotent against this opponent. Raising the fan to create a powerful wind vortex, she hoped that this might be enough to temporarily slow down the opponent, the third Raikage. He instilled fear. Even the signalman in the squad knew about him and was afraid to assume what he could do to them. He got angry and his whole body was covered with lightning. His hand folded all 5 fingers, and with this technique you can cut the enemy so that he would not even have time to squeak. One daredevil tried to stop him, but only 2 halves of his body remained. Temari was seized with fear. She was trembling like her fan. She could not move away, otherwise she would show her cowardice. It's a pity Gaara is not around. He would have found a solution to this problem. She hadn't prayed to anyone until now, and as soon as she said his name, the first tear ran down her cheek. Before Raikage almost got to her. Naruto. The signalman managed to hide her in a rubber cocoon before his hand took the blonde's life. It was a distraction. She hoped he was somewhere nearby now and would help her squad. Obito, after a skirmish with Uzumaki, moved among the worlds for a long time to return back. He was furious. No one dared to joke with him and send him somewhere. He found himself next to Madara. And he gave no sign that anyone else had appeared here. But by his shabby appearance, he realized that the one to whom he had left Rinnegan as a legacy had come with nothing. They outsmarted me. And the 2 of them stopped our plan. How did they master these eyes so quickly? You screwed up. And where are they now? I thought you would use a divine resurrection on me, and not an unholy resurrection, Madara said, holding his hands crosswise. Rain Village, we can't get in there. Barriers were set up around the village. I was cheated like a puppy by these Uzumaki. It was clear from one look that he was angry. Uzumaki? Are there any representatives left of them? They're both half-breeds and very strong. I should have been present myself when Pain attacked Konoha. I missed such a chance. Without these eyes and the 9-tailed, our plan is useless. You'll have to hurry while I warm up. I don't like to wait long. Madara ran into the crowd to take out the shinobi who got in his way. All of them did not expect such speed and maneuverability from the ancient formidable shinobi. In the first seconds, a part of the squad died from stupidity, and after a few more seconds, an explosion thundered. On another battlefield, Sasuke tried to confront his teacher and mentor. And besides him, there was also Kazekage and Mizuki resurrected. Gaara spent a lot of time to stop his father and seal him. And when he successfully coped with his father, he went to the rescue of Sasuke. He won't be able to fight it for a long time. His bones and his spine are crunching so that they speak for themselves. We won't last that long. Soon you'll drop your skates, Dad. Hinata set his bones in time and tried to figure out where she felt a powerful source of chakra. He was very powerful and so warm at the same time. Naruto-kun. We will lose without you. Please help Gaara-kun and the others. We need you. I prayed most of all that you would appear. If it's you, then please save me. Orochimaru, Sasuke, Suigetsu and Yugo went down to the basement, where the Shinigami mask was supposed to lie. All the ingredients for this were ready. Now the victims, take them out and put them in this place until I get my hands back. Wearing a Shinigami mask, a demon in a white robe appeared behind Sannin, and held a tanto in his toothy mouth. Taking the weapon, he cut open the stomach and destroyed the seal, returning Sannin's hands. And after that, he began to resurrect the 4 bodies. It worked. Now we have before us the greatest Kages of their time. Orochimaru, you're at it again. Not only did I give my life to take your techniques, but you also want to use me, your teacher, to destroy the village. Did he resurrect us? Your older brother has not preserved this memory at all. And who are you? I am the 4th Hokage. So you and Sarutobi weren't sealed at the same time? No, unfortunately. Then who is the Hokage now? There was your granddaughter Princess Tsunade. Tsuna, yes. At least the village has been preserved. Wait, how did it was? She did not stand up for the son of the 4th Hokage, Uzumaki Naruto. And apparently, she was sent with the others to the war. Now, gentlemen, there is a war going on and our enemy is Uchiha Madara. War again, as long as I have lived only wars. Naruto. Did you say Naruto? Yes, the 4th. He left Konoha and he is not an apostate, as you thought, but under the protection of the daimyo of the Land of Fire. Don't worry about it. Danzo and the elders, how much I messed with them, achieved their goal. I'm sorry, Minato, that I couldn't protect your son from them. My students. I taught you to honor the will of fire, said the second. The second one is myself. I can't believe Naruto did that. Maybe he did the right thing, I will support him in everything. After a short conversation, they all went to help the alliance. That he couldn't be late for a second, they were all waiting for him so much. It was like voices, like signals, were torn from their screams, and he was the receiver that received this signal. He was wearing a bandana depicting the symbol of the Whirlpool Village, and there was a protector on his left shoulder that no one had seen from the Rain Village for a long time. He and another shinobi of this village were wearing dark capes with a hood that kept them from getting wet and hid their faces. Anyone could envy their speed. Raindrops seemed to freeze when they passed literally in front of their noses. The blond man heard the call of the shinobi and, folding his fingers, used shadow clones to help the alliance army. Their screams, crying, faith, fear, despair seemed to come from nowhere, and a powerful splash was heard very close. Kage could not defeat Madara. They were trampled, without giving a chance to win. From Madara came a power and strength that no living shinobi had ever dreamed of. It was as if he was mocking them, looking down from high. Uzumaki also felt this power with every cell of his body. They had never felt such intense anger. How many souls did he manage to kill? on the way to the cursed Sharingan, there were claps and clones in a flash of lightning disappeared in different directions. The original with Casey went to hell. Temari no longer hoped that she would stay alive and wanted to go to an early death. But then an unexpected thing happened. A yellow flash of lightning in a split second imprinted Raikage's left hand on the right side, where there was a scar, and thereby allowed the sealing team to give a chance to seal. The first Raikage who tried to kill Temari was lying in a bundle, and it happened in some fractions of seconds. She couldn't express any emotion while looking at Naruto, salvation, joy, surprise and self-confidence emanating from him. And there is also hope, which everyone needs so much. She saw in him a serious shinobi who came to the rescue. But the eye caught on two things, the sign of the whirlpool on the bandana and the protector of the rain village. She just nodded to him and he immediately disappeared, leaving behind an ozone-soaked air. And this silent scene was noticed by the rest of the shinobi and their confidence lifted a little. Ino didn't know what to do anymore. If you don't find the consciousness of the guys, then everything is in vain. She did not despair, and she heard her father's voice. Ino, he is nearby and in several places. Dad. Yes, that's him. Cheer up, daughter, look ahead. The sun is rising and everyone will be watching him. Follow your dream. In her head, she heard some words that her mother had once sung to her. And it turned out to be Naruto. She did not hope that he would appear here. But he was already completely different, a look and an intention to go to the end. He already understood where the astral bodies of his comrades were and destroyed the barrier that the Four of Sound had set up. And after that, everyone abruptly regained consciousness. And after that, a powerful explosion sounded, the ground shook and the others, unable to stay on their feet, fell. Ino wanted to hug him hard, but he seemed to have disappeared. And left behind a huge funnel. It was Naruto. I guessed that he would come to the rescue. Ino, you missed him and missed him a lot, Shikamaru said, and then Ino could not restrain herself and hit him on the cheek. Fool. Ino said and left him. Problem women. First they beat, and then they think. Tsuchikage was barely standing, as was Gaara. They cannot restrain the Mizukage and the previous Tsuchikage. But help came out of nowhere and the resurrected Tsuchikage was stabbed in the back with a Rasengan. There was surprise on the faces of the old man and the young man. In such a short period of time, and without even giving himself away, he was able to defeat the first head of the stone. And in the same way he was able to destroy the summoned oyster Mizukage, thereby weakening him and inflicting Rasengan in the stomach. Gaara managed to seal these two. And he fell off his feet from the exhaustion of the chakra. Like Onoki, Kakashi and Sai had a hard time. After the swordsman there were no trumps left, as well as chakras for protection. This time, the Zetsu army decided to end them once and for all. However, they were led astray by Rasensuariken. No one expected to see Naruto, especially now. Kakashi's gaze caught on the bandana, which depicted a whirlpool and a protector on the shoulder of the rain village. Minato-sensei, Jiraiya-sama, Kushina-san, you brought him up and made him a worthy heir to your affairs. The student continues the work of his teacher. Sai only saw Naruto's face at the last moment and was surprised. Somehow in its own way. Naruto? At this time, the most dangerous four Kage appeared on the battlefield. And all the shinobi saw them live. Their gaze caught on Uzumaki, who had just appeared here. He was surprised by their appearance. Most likely they were resurrected by Sasuke, not without the help of Orochimaru. Father, Naruto, you've grown so much. It's a pity Kushina doesn't see you. You give people hope. Good to see you, Naruto. How's Konohamaru? The third. Your grandson is following his dream to become the same Hokage as you. And you've changed. You're not that tomboy anymore. I'm sorry, Naruto, that I couldn't protect you from these rotting pieces of society. You can't bring back the past, old man 3. My new life started outside the village. I was accepted by a new village. There is the head of the village, a disciple of Jiraiya, Conan. Hey, brother, look, he looks like Tsuna's younger brother, Hashirama addressed his younger brother. Indeed, there are similarities, Tobirama replied. And Madara is waiting for us, then we will talk to him. Are you with me, brother? I'm always with you for one thing, brother. Let's go. Dad, it's a pity that you died too soon. Will you be a grandfather? Will you tell Mom the good news? What? He repeated with the third. You heard right, Dad. Soon I will be a father too, I don't need to die. Minato, you remember me back in the squad that protected your wife. She was my sister, why did you let duty come first? Considering that the whole village is like a family and look what they have done with your legacy. Destroyed and trampled into the ground. He survived, if I were around, this would not have happened, even the third one in the same place could not provide him with a good life. And my sister, you let her die. Casey? I didn't know this would happen to him. Yes, I doomed him to such a life, but I only wanted to save the village by making him a Jinchuriki. Our mother and Kushina were Uzumaki, and Uchiha was our father. And I have a double surname. There were no bookmarks on me that were put by Naruto, and you know who can put them. Stop it. Yes, I am to blame for this. I already regret starting this conversation. And it looks like this one in the mask will want to get Kyuubi again. Madara raised his hand to the sky and meteorites began to fall on the alliance from there. Hashirama was already ready to fight him again. What the fuck is this? Too much, I can't take more than one away from here. Let's try. I can send one to another place. And you move the rest. Minato and Naruto took one of the meteorites and sent them flying a sufficient distance in another direction. Kamui, the funnel had to be held for a long time to make it work. You have developed Rinnegan. But where did Naruto get it from? Just now I saw Minato in Casey's left eye Rinnegan. And Naruto has 2 of them. These are Nagato's eyes, he bequeathed them to me as his legacy, Naruto replied. I see. There's something strange going on there. Obito, he appeared and intended to use the chains to extract the tailed one from Naruto. Dead. You let it happen, Rin, my friend, died. You didn't come in time to save us in that place. You are not worthy of the title of Hokage. Unlike you, he became a Hokage, and don't you dare say that about him. Get it? Turned out to be much faster than his Sharingan had time to notice the danger, and the same attack with Rasengan. It was the same, these words made him very angry, and he would have torn him to pieces. I just put a palm with a seal on his back and freed him from the influence of Zetsu. No one dares to insult women from the Uzumaki clan, they will die in terrible agony. Mato Guy, the blonde felt that Guy had suffered greatly from the clash with Madara, using the 8th gate. He couldn't move and was charred. You are a worthy opponent in Taijutsu, I have never enjoyed such a battle, and death awaits you, Madara said and launched one of the spheres that Naruto beat off. And immediately sent Madara far away with a nasty blow to the body. Using the seal, he was able to restore Guy's body, and Sasuke appeared next to him. Sasuke and Naruto saw Madara confront the Senju brothers. It was felt from him, anger, power, arrogance and superiority over everyone. And half of him was one with Zetsu. The Alliance army felt it too when they saw that he had summoned a truly unusual Susanoo. With 2 heads and 4 blue arms. And any attacks could not harm him, and the hail of blows went into the ground where the shinobi were standing, but many managed to be crushed. the rest began to go to a safer distance. Hinata was the first to notice Naruto. And I felt a change in him. He became serious, his look and intention spoke about it, and he also gave everyone hope for victory. She had already heard the whispers that went around among the other shinobi. He saved Niji, Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba and Akamaru from the trap into which the Four of Sound had lured them. They could not always see such a sight, so that the strongest Kage would rise from the dead and fight on their side. The four Hokage are the strongest in history, they were feared more than the rest. Have you talked to the Sage of the Six Paths? And you have his mark? After a nod, the blond man showed the mark on his palm. I have an idea. I'm not sure that everything will work out on the first try, but we need to seal it, do you agree? Do you want to combine the forms of Susanoo and Kurama when he is in the released form from the chakra? The blond man said, and Sasuke only confirmed his words. It's time, they answered together, and the transformation began. At first, Naruto was with Sasuke inside Kurama's cover, and then Susanoo began to be covered with armor around him. There was a sword in his hands. Madara pressed the two brothers and did not give them a chance to win. He showed everyone that he can recover in a matter of seconds. And Hashirama's cells took root in his body. Casey was looking for a weak link in Madara's Susanoo and noticed that Naruto and Sasuke had come up with something. And from the fluctuations of the chakra, I realized that they decided to use a new trump card after the formation of the nine-tailed form and the covering of Sasuke's Susanoo armor, and he also did not stay away for the first time in a long time. He did not use his father's techniques. Namely, it enters the Susanoo mode for the first time. First the head, then the rest of the skeleton, and only after completion was covered with armor. Susanoo was red in color. Senju, after noticing the approach of two Susanoo, hurried away. Madara was anticipating that he had defeated his enemy Hashirama and was laughing, but the laughter was not long. His Susanoo shook from the blow of another owner of the Susanoo. There was one person in his head, and Madara was surprised to meet another representative of his clan. Who are you? Don't you share my views? This world is rotten through and through, and it needs to be restarted. Neither gods, nor demons, nor people will be able to stop me. Join me and we will become the new masters of this world. He spoke so proudly that there was a feeling of disgust. Thanks, but no. You don't know what you're doing, Uchiha Madara. This world needs only one chance to correct its mistakes, and without your eternal Tsukuyomi plan, how presumptuous. I will kill you and no one will remember you. Prepare for death. The katana that he brought to strike was blocked by Casey and Sasuke with Naruto. Madara did not expect such a turn of events. His huge hands began to shake, trying to put pressure on them, and unsuccessfully. With another attempt, Madara lost his weapon from his hands and two blows fell on his head and the forehead. Susanoo was shaken by strong blows, and for a while Madara lost his orientation. At high speed, he began to move away from them and did not feel someone's hand on his shoulder, and threw it in the opposite direction. Sasuke and Naruto began to fight with him together. He did not have time to keep track of all the movements, and somehow he was injured by a wave of chakra. And then the damage, which was hardly delayed, and then Madara released a jet of flame from his lungs, which Naruto stopped with one hand. There was an absorption of the technique. Then he decided to switch to Susanoo mode again. He was not given this chance, and with a series of blows, his Susanoo armor cracked. Madara began to move away and was pulled back. Damn it. It's impossible. Only now he saw that Casey has a 9-volume Sharingan. And that he was being held by an unknown force. It's hard to restrain you. I would burn you in the flames of Amaterasu. But they have a different plan. Sasuke, Naruto, seal it, hurry up. Rushing off the spot, these two touched Madara from both sides and he was sealed forever. Obito, after sleeping, did not understand what had happened and only summoned the statue where the tailed ones were sealed. In an instant, time stopped and Rikudo-sanin appeared. He freed his tailed children. And the marks on Naruto and Sasuke's hands disappeared. You both stopped Kagaya's release. If this had happened, there would have been deplorable consequences. Rikudo-sanin, did you expect this, that Sasuke and I would be able to stop Madara and Zetsu? If it wasn't for my uncle Casey, we wouldn't have made it. The war between my sons stopped there, after many generations, and you two are also their reincarnations. The blonde remembered what the sage told him at the first meeting. My time is limited, goodbye, just like the Hokage themselves before returning back. Senju were amazed by the strength of Naruto and Sasuke, most of all they were surprised by Casey. He was able to fight Madara alone and not strain himself. Naruto, I am proud that I have such a son. You've become the best of everyone, despite their anger and everything. I'll tell Kushina the good news, don't worry. And you, Casey, were right about what I did. I didn't put my child's life for the life of an entire village. I am saddened by the current policy. I hope you like it in the Rain Village. And remember, wear this Uzumaki symbol always so that enemies know that you should not mess with blood devils. Naruto, if you're in Konoha, at least visit my grave. Konohamaru may become a Hokage in the future. Guide him on the right path. Promise me? Said the third. Yes, I promised. You're Naruto Uzumaki, right? As I understand it, you are the son of the fourth Hokage. But who is your mom then? The first Hokage came up, asking. My mother was Kushina Uzumaki. She was the last of the Uzumaki clan to be rescued. The father is Minato Namikaze, sorry, Senju is his real name. Tsunade Senju is my grandmother, she told me about it herself. The first one had a shock, like the rest of the Hokage. I see, so Tsunade refused to protect you. It's not like her. Maybe Madara was right about the village that we built. The village itself is saturated with malice. No, Big Brother is the very attitude towards Jinchuriki. They don't have any rights and the rest. They are not considered people, they are restricted in everything and this cannot be changed. And the Uchiha were too proud to understand the essence of shinobi and eliminated themselves. Other than that, he pointed at Casey. You're right there. There is a will of fire in him. Let's go back, it's time for us. After that, they all began to crumble and the tailed ones immediately began to leave. Time has returned to its rhythm and the Alliance has seen the heroes of the war. Orochimaru appeared with the Kage of other countries and came out to meet the Trinity. Everyone was amazed that Naruto began to wear the symbol of the Whirlpool Village. Raikage was the first to get angry and wanted to snap at him. But his planned plan was stopped by Casey. I do not recall that a particularly brainless Raikage would climb to find out the relationship with a war hero. Are you an Uchiha? No one has the right to judge me. What did you do? He couldn't use his lightning cover and suddenly his body didn't move. Your chakra circulation is disrupted, as is your coordination of movements. Look, lightning flashed on his index finger. You. Shut up. This is for you, for my sister Kushina Uzumaki, whom you wanted to kidnap, and for Haim of the Hyuga, Hinata clan. You didn't answer for these two crimes. And he added one more thing to himself for trying to attack a war hero. Casey kicked him in the stomach and he fell face down. Tsukuyomi. Now he was looking at the full force of the Mangekyo Sharingan and saw that thousands of the same Uchiha gathered around him and that the Raikage was tied to a T-shaped crosspiece. Each of those who came up began to pierce him with his katana and everything was repeated several times. The torment was terrifying and it seemed to last forever. After that, Tsukuyomi ended. Your sister was like your mother. The cursed clan of devils. I will kill you. And no one will. Raikage broke off on the word and was torn into tiny pieces. He left a sea puddle on the ground and only a little splattered the rest. Very stupid. The land of lightning, if you dare to chase us. Keep in mind that your country will be the same as what Pain did. Is that clear to you? Said Casey on the appearance of the shinobi of this country. No one dares to insult women from the Uzumaki clan, otherwise they will die. Then Naruto's friends also appeared from Konoha. Hinata was waiting for him the most, a quiet and shy girl. Her heart was beating faster, she wanted to hug him and didn't care what others said. Naruto-kun, I love you and I will always love you. Naruto, thank you. You saved us all from certain death. I love you. Oh, look, the harem of the Hyuga clan has fallen in love with the most reckless shinobi. Shikamaru said and got hit on the head by Ino. Ino, I was joking. Not funny. Naruto, where is Sakura? By the way, I'll get her back later, she's safe, don't worry. I can't stay here any longer, I have to go back with my uncle, and disappeared in a hurry, just like Casey. They all remembered his smile and his words. Naruto made an impression on everyone, especially on Kage. After Uzumaki disappeared in full view of everyone, Sasuke did not comment on their disappearance in any way. His gaze crossed with Kakashi Hatake, and he only nodded in greeting. Many charges have been dropped from Sasuke Uchiha, especially since there are no those who could accuse him, said Kakashi, and no one was against this decision. Of course, the Uzumaki avenged old grievances against their enemies. And Raikage paid for his actions. Yes, I hope other Kage will not consider playing war with them. What do you think, Tsunade? Snake Sanin turned to Senju. You're right, Orochimaru. Uzumaki is not to be trifled with, Senju replied. Hisashi, our allies have avenged you. Now I have peace of mind. Your uncle, Naruto, is superior to all of us, and his strength is only half of yours. My father would like to have such an ally. Neji felt it necessary to say that Uzumaki will be our allies. It would be necessary to resolve the issue of their meeting. Neji, I put this burden of responsibility on you. After we return to Konoha, you will go to the village of Rains. Hayashi turned to his nephew and he supported the idea. Ino listened to conversations related to Uzumaki, and could not imagine that he would become so popular so abruptly. And his relative destroyed the Raikage in front of everyone. For his crimes, which Konoha paid for a long time, she didn't know how to tell him how she felt. I couldn't forgive my father for the act. She wanted to scream at him, throw a tantrum, run away from home, but still cried and ran to her room, there to shed tears. She fell in love with him for the first time in her life, only now she realized it, and for all the times they were on a mission, she did not take it seriously. Maybe he was an oddball, but he helped out. When he disappeared from the village for 2 years, I forgot his smile, and after returning I noticed his changes. If it wasn't for Tsunade's order to send him to the bloody prison, all this wouldn't have happened. She wanted him to stay in the village like the others. Kiba, like an idiot, rushes with his fists to reason with him. It was a new step, which not everyone is able to decide on, recognition. For many, it is difficult. How long Naruto had been trying to achieve this all his life, but now it didn't make any sense to him. Gaara was amazed at what was done to the Raikage, as well as Tsuchikage. The head of Suna decided to cooperate with the Rain Village, as did Onoki. Mizukage decided not to risk getting involved in the Uzumaki showdown, because the crimes that were committed before her arrival were listed for attacks on Uzushio. Like many of the first Kage of other countries, all the Kage realized that they would remember her all the insults for Konoha and Uzushio. The country of lightning will be choosing a new Raikage in the near future. Sasuke, without saying a word, went to Konoha, where the rest of the shinobi were walking at a leisurely pace. Orochimaru was pulled out of trouble by Tsunade, as well as Yamato. He was surprised what was happening while he was away. He, on the orders of the fifth, insisted on restraining Naruto's power. And the top of the village insisted on this demanding. And after Pain with the bloody prison, his services were not needed for a short time. He hadn't seen Naruto like this since the bloody prison, and he couldn't have held back with all his will. Even keeping an eye on him was strongly insisted on, and he could not disobey. And then his abduction, which he doesn't remember at all, and missed an important battle. The Uzumaki returned to the village of Rains, where they were already met. Ryuzetsu was worried about him and did not let go of him for a long time, like Karen, only she hung on him. Sakura was talking about something with Conan and clarifying the details. And the picture that hung in front of her was very funny. So that's what it feels like to love and wait for your lover. I missed such a beautiful groom, you fool. This is happiness. Naruto, you were able to keep your word, and I will keep it. I will be the godmother for your child. Naruto, don't ever disappear so abruptly again, I'm going crazy. Fool, fool. We just started a new life, and you took up the rescue of your friends, Ryuzetsu told him. I helped the shinobi world for the last time. I'm sorry I ran away so abruptly. Will you forgive me? The blonde apologized. Well, if so, then I forgive and don't do it again. If you have decided to marry me, then please take on all the hardships of family life. I promise, said the blonde. It's a good thing she doesn't have the character of a mom. I would have had Hannah. I don't want to meet a frying pan instead of her face. From this very thought, a lump in my throat swallowed and beads of sweat appeared on my face. I'm sorry, man. Be strong. Kurama answered him, imagining such a picture. Casey, I was so longing, who would have warmed me? Well, so be it, I don't hold a grudge against you. I'll be a good bride. She lightly touched his nose and jumped to the ground. Karen, everything ended favorably for us, and the war ended. Only wreckage had to be dealt with. He did not want to be responsible for his words, and death was waiting for him. And it looks like representatives of different clans from allied countries will come to us, right, Naruto? Turning in the direction of his nephew, he said. Yes. And I was blessed by the previous Hokage themselves. I saw my friends and helped everyone. Conan-san, I hope none of the hostile shinobi have penetrated through the barriers? No, Naruto-kun, all the barriers work fine. Go rest. As the head of this village, I can discuss all the details myself with the representatives of the delegation. Naruto was glad that these things were not waiting for him yet and decided that in a calm atmosphere he would tell Ryuzetsu about her pregnancy. And entering the room, she screamed, I'm pregnant, which even Karen heard. Sakura was resting in the room that Conan had allocated to her and was preparing to return to Konoha tomorrow and did not notice how she fell asleep. And she promised not to tell anyone about Naruto's child from Ryuzetsu. Having fallen into the realm of Morpheus, she fell asleep. She didn't even have time to realize that she was returned to Konoha while she was sleeping. The sun was breaking through the curtains from the window and blinding in the eyes, which made me want to turn away and continue to sleep. She was woken up by some rumbling coming from the kitchen. She stretched and took water treatments with a good mood and went down to the kitchen. Good morning, everyone, she said to her parents. Good morning, sunshine, and when did you get back? Mother asked. It's nothing, Naruto moved me into the room while I was sleeping, Sakura replied and went to the table. The parents did not comment on anything, and the breakfast was held in silence until Sakura ran away to the residence on business. Before entering, she knocked on the door and after an approving, come in, went inside, where the shinobi were already crowding. We conclude a peace agreement on cooperation with the village of Rain. So, Sakura will represent the interests of our village. Are you ready? He looked at his student. Yes, Kakashi-sensei. Great. Niji is going with you, he represents the interests of the clan. I think you can handle it without any problems. 10 years have passed, the village hidden in the rain flourished like its allied villages. It was impossible to boast of sunny weather here, but it rained constantly, water was everywhere, flowing from the roofs down the covering of buildings. Every drop fell on everything that moves or not. Locals have long been accustomed to not seeing the sun and were constantly wearing capes to save from the rain, gurgling. Gurgling, footsteps echoed in the noise of the rain, bringing some variety of sounds. But the raincoats did not save from getting wet, and in some places it became damp. A young man of about 27 with a bright red hair color was heading towards a crowd of people who did not like to wait under such a downpour. Removing his hood, he introduced himself. And at the same moment, lightning flashed, illuminating the sky in his face. "I am Naruto Uzumaki, the heir of Nagato Uzumaki, your former patron. I take on his role. Together, we have achieved peace so that the next generations do not know what war is." A wave of applause passed through the crowd. "Friends and colleagues, please pay attention for a moment." He paused for a second and the crowd quieted down. "I represent my family. 4 young girls came out with their children, taking off their hoods, introducing the first ladies of their new village head, Ryuzetsu, Sakura, Ino and Hinata. On his right side was Casey with Karen and their child Ai, the girl had just turned 9 years old. And on the left was his named brother Sasuke, who arrived here on the occasion of the announcement of the new chapter. Conan looks at Naruto and admires his ideal, as if he embodies all the ideas of the previous generation. How they tolerate each other, I don't know. And none of them gave him tantrums. After all, women are strange creatures, it doesn't fit in my head. Mito and Kushina are still sadists. I'm not talking about these at all," Kurama thought without voicing aloud. The crowd applauded the choice of their new leader without loud words. Such beauties still need to be found. Sasuke depicted something like a smile, which, one might say, expressed pride and admiration. "Itachi would like to have a brother like you, Naruto. If I had known my brother's motives, then I would have left the village with you and restored my clans." Conan handed over all the obligations as the head of the village to him and retired to the graves of friends and sensei. "Be better than everyone else, Naruto. I believe in you, like everyone else. You are a living embodiment from the books of our sensei Jiraiya. He would like this most of all, for someone to continue the business. Maybe you'll finish his last book," she said before disappearing. The crowd did not stand for long and began to disperse to their homes. Sasuke took a last look at the village and left it. Naruto and the others began to return to their warm nest. Gaara, the head of the village of sand, and Kuratsuchi, the new head of stone, were waiting for the new head of the village of rain. They are not very used to such torrential weekdays. And the former sensei Hatake, who was unnoticed, buried in the book, Chronicles of the Fearless Shinobi. The countries of Fog and Lightning could not be present due to the closure of the borders by the order of the feudal lords themselves after several disputes and scandals around Uzumaki. The feudal lord of the Land of Fire approved of Uzumaki's actions in the war, and some leaders had to pay a lot of blood for the past. "Congratulations on your new position, Naruto. I really hope that the next generation will honor the memory of our predecessors," Gaara said when Naruto appeared. Yes, it's a pity that in our village there were no such first-class specialists in the elements of the highest rank. Sad, but I came to greet the new head. My grandfather could not have come here, he was already over 100, I'm afraid he would not have died on the way, Kuratsuchi said. "And what are your plans, Naruto?" Looking up from the book, Kakashi asked. "Today I intend to spend time with my family. There is no time for the rest. I am glad that you were able to take the time to see the new leader." "It's nothing, I'll always find time for a friend," Gaara replied. "See you later," Kuratsuchi said and followed the others to leave the village. From Ryuzetsu, he has a son, Tora, who was named after her deceased friend Satori. He was the oldest of all, and his hair was like Ryuzetsu's. Sakura gave birth to a son, Akashi. Mom's eyes are green, and dad's hair is red. From Ino, Mino, an exact copy of Mom, but with more memorable father's eyes. From Hinata, Himawari is as cute as her mom at the same age. The children were left to Casey, who didn't mind playing with them. Sakura did not even imagine that she would also be a godmother for Naruto. She became his second wife herself, and it seems to be nothing terrible. She, Hinata and Ino lived in separate rooms, where there were all amenities. Sasuke appeared in Konoha before Kakashi and headed to the family estate, where Hanabi and their son Itachi were waiting for him. Sasuke gave him this name in memory of his brother. Tsunade and Shizune visited the village of Rain and visited their little relatives. They certainly showed up there once a year and showed a desire to open classes in medical techniques there. Naruto forgave Tsunade for his actions, and couldn't help but tell her about his children. Konohamaru held the position of one of the captains in the ANBU squad and planned to become the 7th Hokage in the future. That's the end of this story. Thank you for being with me, my sons. Tatsu was with you.